I'm Catherine Harrigan for Tony Snow. Ahead on Weekend Live, terror targets the Indonesian resort island of Bali, killing at least 19 with simultaneous blasts at a bustling beachfront resort area. Battling back the blaze, California firefighters take the upper hand in their quest to quench flames that have already charred 24,000 acres in the Golden State. Then the mystery of a 4-year-old found abandoned in New York City. She's been identified, but police say her mother is now a missing person. All that and a whole lot more right here on Weekend Live. This is a Fox News alert. There has been an attack on the island of Indonesia, the resort area of Bali. We now know at this time that 19 people are dead as a result of 2 blasts, one on the Jimbaran beach and one also outside a shopping area. What's significant is that the police have not identified who they believe is responsible, but they do say, quote, "It clearly looks to be the work of terrorists." This, in some ways, is very reminiscent of an attack 3 years ago in 2002, also in Bali at one of the beachfront resort areas. That left more than 200 dead. It was claimed by a group, Abu Sayyaf Jemaah Islamiyah. They are very active in this part of Indonesia. Their goal is to establish a militant Islamic State in that area. But again, 19 are now dead in that attack. We'll have more and follow it throughout the day here on Weekend Live. And a turn for the better in California as firefighters expect to have the wildfires completely contained within the next couple of days. What's incredible in this story is that despite all of the dramatic video, only 2 homes were destroyed. Trace Gallagher is live in Thousand Oaks, California with more on the emergency response. Trace.
And Catherine, firefighters really under a time crunch right now because the weather is cooperating and they want to get on top of these fires before the Santa Ana winds come back, which is expected earlier this week. The Burbank fire right now is a concern. It's burned some 700 acres. We've got some video we took just before daybreak. Now that dawn has broken, the air tankers are back up and the firefighting helicopters are also back up in the air. But there has been a flare up in this fire, and now they are voluntarily asking for some evacuation in a couple of neighborhoods, though they stress that this is still not threatening any homes right now. It continues to be solely a brush fire. Of course, that could change if the weather changes, but they want to stop it before it becomes a fire as big as the Topanga fire, which has now burned some 24,000 acres. They say it is 40% contained, and we anticipate that number will rise as the day goes on because the weather really is beginning to cooperate a little bit. The humidity levels are going up, which is good. The wind is coming down, and the temperatures have dropped a little bit, and we're getting some of that onshore marine layer, which is that cool, moist air that comes off of the ocean, and they want to get this thing under control before that changes. You know, you talk about 3,000 plus firefighters battling this blaze. That is a world of resources. In fact, this fire is being fought almost exactly the opposite way the San Diego fire was fought 2 years ago when they had very little air support. They had very few firefighters and trucks. In that fire, they lost 2,200 homes and 14 lives. And in this fire, 24,000 acres have burned, and they have only lost 2 homes because the firefighters have been able to mobilize and go house to house and offer individual protection. Now, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger came down yesterday and toured the damage. He promised more money for this area, and he really pointed out, which is true, that the pivotal force in all this, he called the firefighters the real-life action heroes.
First responders have just come back from fighting at Hurricane Katrina and done an incredible job there. And I've talked to those governors there. They complimented me how the California team, the first responders, were the most active and the most aggressive, working day and night.
And a quick footnote, most of the evacuees are being allowed back into their homes right now, and the air quality in Southern California seems to be improving. Catherine.
Trace, thanks a lot. It appears that there has been a terrorist attack in Indonesia this morning on the resort island of Bali. We mentioned that a few moments ago. The death toll now stands at 19, and what seems significant is that there were 2 simultaneous attacks often the hallmark of groups linked to al-Qaeda that operate in this region, specifically a group called Jemaah Islamiyah. We're joined on the phone by journalist Marianne Kearney, and she is in Jakarta with the very latest. Marianne, what can you tell us about the attacks and the damage at the beach and at the shopping center?
Well, a lot of eyewitnesses are reporting that they heard 2 attacks at each of the sites, but it's unclear. It seems that, at least in Kuta, which is a very crowded area, popular with Western tourists, and was also the site of the 2002 attacks, that the explosions might have occurred in the restaurant. It's still not clear what exactly, whether it was a suicide bomber, or it was a car bomber, or what. And however, police have sealed off the area, and people are still being evacuated from there. It's believed that tens of scores of people were injured, and that those dead were that there's several foreign tourists have died, but there's kind of different reports about whether they're Europeans or Australians or Americans.
Tell us a little bit about the area. We're seeing some of the aftermath video right now. It looks to be an area frequented by tourists, and I think in that respect very reminiscent of the site that was hit in 2002.
Yeah, it's just literally down the road from the site that was hit in 2002, so especially on a Saturday night, it's going to be really crowded. You've got to have lots of cars and motorbikes traveling past there, and there's, all the restaurants are packed. People at the restaurant that was attacked, one of the restaurants that was attacked, Raja Restaurant, was saying that it was very crowded, and there's lots of people walking on the streets nearby, and it's quite close to the beaches.
So it sounds in 2 respects that it's very similar to 2002. Number one, it's the same area, and the timing sort of in the evening when these resort areas, the clubs, the shopping areas are very crowded. And second, in the 2002 attack, it began with a suicide bombing, a backpack bombing in a bar, and then that was followed by 2 subsequent car bombs. Is the sense that this could well be the work of Jemaah Islamiyah?
I think it is. Police aren't saying that yet, but just because of where it's occurred, it would seem to be a slap in the face, because I think the Indonesians were feeling fairly confident and quite rightly felt that they'd tracked down a lot of the perpetrators of the 2002 attacks and subsequent attacks, and for this attack to occur in kind of a similar location and seemingly with perhaps similar modus operandi, seems to be very much the work of the same group, or at least the same 2 masterminds, one Malaysian man called Azahari.
Final question. It seems significant to me that just yesterday the State Department issued a warning to Americans in the region. It reads in part, quote, "The terrorist threat in Indonesia remains high. Attacks could occur at any time and could be directed against any location, including those frequented by foreigners and those who are identifiably American." Does that suggest to you there may have been some intelligence that something was in the pipeline?
Well, there's a lot of intelligence all the time, actually, and there's reports about kind of attempted attacks, and sometimes it's hard to know whether these go off or whether they don't, and how clear the intelligence is. Different embassies are always saying that they're getting lots of reports, and I guess that just illustrates the point that the 2 of the kind of members of Jemaah Islamiyah are still on the run, and still capable of attacks. We know that much, and obviously want to launch more attacks.
Marianne Kearney in the capital, Jakarta. Thanks very much. Moving on, a 4-year-old girl was found wandering the streets of New York City. Her mother has now been declared missing, and police have begun questioning the missing mother's boyfriend. Rebecca Gomez is live in our New York newsroom with more on this developing story. Rebecca.
Catherine, New York City police will only say the boyfriend is a person of interest, but there are reports that his story keeps changing. Police have released a picture of the little girl's mother and are asking the public for any information that will help them determine what happened to her. Neighbors say they last saw 26-year-old Monica Rivadeneira Lozada a week ago today. Monica and her daughter Valerie had lived with the boyfriend in Queens, New York, in an apartment there for only 3 months. 4-year-old Valerie was found wandering around alone and barefoot around 1 o'clock in the morning last Sunday. She told police a man had taken her from her bed and left her in the street without any shoes, and that she was looking for her mom. Authorities try to get as much information as they could from the 4-year-old.
What does your mommy look like? She looks like a princess.
Oh.
Reporters there asking the little girl questions. Now, police have been searching the area where Valerie was abandoned for any clues. They're also seeking a warrant to search the boyfriend's apartment. The New York Post is reporting that the boyfriend told police he dropped off Monica and her daughter at the airport to catch a flight back to her native Bolivia. Monica Lozado is 26 years old. She has dyed blonde hair. She's 5'6" and weighs 105 pounds. She also has a tattoo of a bluebird on her stomach. Again, she was last seen about a week ago in Forest Hills, New York. 4-year-old Valerie, her daughter, is in foster care right now. Authorities say she's healthy, but she's upset and wants her mother. Police don't appear optimistic given the circumstances surrounding the woman's disappearance and the length of time that she's been missing. Catherine?
Rebecca Gomez, thanks a lot. U.S. forces in Iraq have launched Operation Iron Fist, an offensive designed to clear out al-Qaeda and Iraqi insurgents in and around the western province of Anbar. Steve Harrigan is live in Baghdad with that story. Steve.
Catherine, that major U.S. military operation has been underway since the early morning hours. It's headed towards the city of Al-Qaim, right near the border with Syria. This is the third such offensive in the past 4 months, and the goal, once again, to drive out al-Qaeda terrorists that have taken control of small towns near the border with Syria, and also to prevent the influx of foreign terrorists across that Syrian border. In the meantime, north of Baghdad, in the city of Balad, Iraqi officials were touring the scene of one of the worst terror attacks of the past week, a triple car bomb attack that killed almost 100 people in the city of Balad. There were widespread predictions that the terrorist attacks would be on the increase in the run-up to a referendum in mid-October, just 2 weeks away on Iraq's constitution. Those predictions proving true. More than 200 people killed here in the past week, among them 15 U.S. military personnel. Finally, in the prison of Abu Ghraib in Baghdad, another 500 prisoners were released today. That makes it 1,000 nonviolent prisoners released over the past week, a goodwill gesture to mark the start of the Muslim month, holy month of Ramadan, which starts this week. Catherine, back to you.
Steve Harrigan in Baghdad, thanks a lot. Coming up, deadly bombs ripped through 2 tourist areas on the Indonesian island of Bali. Officials say it's the work of terrorists. We'll have live reports and analysis throughout the program. And later on, President Bush is mulling over Supreme Court choices this weekend. We'll tell you who might be on his short list. That's coming up.
An important message to all CNA insurance policyholders. If your business is affected by Hurricanes Katrina or Rita and you can't reach your agent directly, call the CNA Catastrophe Operations Center at 877-CNA-ASAP.
Nobody sees the long hours, the late nights, the flashes of brilliance, the moments of doubt. They just see the results. This is the moment of truth. To find out how a Savin document management system can connect you to success, go to Savin.com. Now you're ready.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
They are the kings and queens, the potentates of the road. We recognize them by their restless wing-tipped feet. We support them with new, thicker mattresses and lay the freshest fine white linens at their feet, an offering of respect. Our beds, ourselves, we've changed it all for them. Rest well, my liege. Rest well.
You challenged everything that came before you, and nothing looked or felt or sounded the same way again. That was you then. And the great thing is, that's still you now. We are the personal advisors of Ameriprise Financial, the next generation of American Express financial advisors. Personal financial planning for a generation as unique as yours. For a complimentary initial consultation, call 1-800-AMERIPRISE.
Can you tell the difference between these pet medications?
They're the same brand, but this medication costs a lot less and is delivered right to my door. That's the 1-800-PET-MED difference. Great savings, fast service, free shipping. Order now.
Anti-terrorism officials in Indonesia believe today's bombings are the work of terrorists. As you recall, an al-Qaeda-linked group killed over 200 people in bombings back in 2002. Terrorism expert Malcolm Nance is the author of the Terrorist Recognition Handbook, and he joins me now. We were just talking in the break. What is the most striking aspect of this attack?
Well, it's like your reporter said a little earlier. The simultaneity of this attack is very striking. This is the kind of attack that I would call a restrike, sort of similar to the way that the 9/11 attack was a restrike of the 1993 World Trade Center attack. Obviously, whoever did this was out to make a point, not with as much explosive force, not using maybe as the depth of sophistication of the team, but they actually went back to Bali, went back to Kuta Beach and Jimbaran and restruck that target.
Because what we learned earlier is, at least from our reporter on the ground, is that this is just a few blocks away from the site of the 2002 bombing. And as you said, the simultaneous nature. I'm curious, a number of people were put in prison for that 2002 bombing connected to a group called Jemaah Islamiyah. One in particular, a man called Abu Bakr Bashir. Do you think that this could in any way be related to their followers?
Well, it's possible. Abu Bakr Bashir has been called the Osama bin Laden of Indonesia or Southeast Asia, and that's quite possible. But you don't need him to actually carry out these attacks. This is a franchise of the Al-Qaeda organization that's, like I said, the Indonesian branch, so to speak. And for them to carry out this attack, all it requires is a little low-level direction. You can tell just by the attacks they weren't as significant as the Bali bombing. They could have been, because the tourists have returned back to Bali. But for the most part, I think that this was a low-level operation, possibly a test-bed operation for future operations.
You said sort of a testing operation and also an operation that was clearly designed to send a signal to the Indonesian government.
Oh, yes.
What was that message?
Well, I think it has two parts to it. First, you have the signal to the Indonesian government that we're still viable. This is also known in our business as a survivability attack. We're showing that we're a viable organization. Also, it's a message to the Australians. The Australians are predominant tourists who come down to Bali, and especially the Kuta Beach area. And what they're sending to you is that you're not safe here. They bombed the Australian embassy last year. They bombed the Marriott Hotel. The message definitely to them is, we don't want you down here. And of course, they're going to try to damage the tourist infrastructure of that region, which appears to have come back.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that strikes me, and you mentioned this, is that in a situation such as this, you're not only trying to send a message, but you're also perhaps trying to send a message to your followers as well, that though your leadership is in jail, you're still able to carry out these attacks.
That's a really good point. And it's not just to the leadership, not just to the leadership itself, or it's not just to the people. It's to show everyone involved, that if they are an element of Jemaah Islamiyah, they are viable, and especially in the recruiting, you want to show this, that we actually have the viability to come back and restrike this target again, which you thought was safe. And now they've shown that if it was a suicide bombing, the level of commitment that this small group or team of people who were deployed for this mission have.
That would be another thing that's consistent, the suicide bombing, the location, and also the simultaneous attacks. Malcolm Nance, author of the Terrorist Recognition Handbook, thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Coming up, John Roberts breezed through the confirmation process, but Hill watchers say the next one won't be so easy. How will the White House secure a second Supreme Court appointment without getting mired in a partisan political fight? And don't forget about Tony's radio show. You'll find him all week long on the Tony Snow Show. Check out TonySnow.com to find a radio station in your area. We'll be back.
Their heads are hanging down.
We gave our home a fresh new look for the fall. We're just keeping it a secret from our wallet.
You can get your fall project started, and the Home Depot can help. Right now, get quality carpet pad free with purchase of carpet and installation. Plus, get no payments, no interest for 12 months on purchases of $2.99 or more store-wide when you use your Home Depot or Expo Consumer credit card. Don't put off the project. Put off the payments.
The Home Depot. You can do it. We can help. I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, on before to Hackensack, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport, Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Diamantina, Pasadena, Catalina, Sequoia. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
Right now at Comfort Inn, Comfort Suites, Quality, Sleep-In, Clarion, and Mainstay Suites hotels, you'll earn a free night after just 2 separate stays with choice privileges. For reservations, visit choicehotels.com.
I've been everywhere.
Choice Hotels. We'll see you there.
I'm one of those people who doesn't like to be
held back. I have my fast-acting inhalers.
So I thought I was in control of my asthma, but I was using my inhaler
A lot. So I learned about something more I could do.
More I could do.
More I could do.
If you use your fast-acting inhaler more than twice a week for symptoms, talk to your doctor because you may not be in control of your asthma. Singulair helps prevent asthma symptoms before they start and helps provide 24-hour control in a once-a-day tablet. Singulair is not a steroid, and Singulair is also approved to help relieve seasonal allergy symptoms. Singulair will not replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms. Continue taking your other asthma medicines as prescribed. If asthma symptoms get worse, contact your doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Join the millions of people with asthma who have discovered Singulair.
I learned about something more I could do.
Ask your doctor about Singulair today.
Batteries Plus is your one-stop source for anything that needs a battery. Cars and trucks, DVD and MP3 players, cordless phones, children's toys, watches, and every other battery-powered gadget imaginable. And no matter what kind of cell phone you have, we can answer the call. Because if it needs a battery, all you need is Batteries Plus, America's battery experts.
Thousands of batteries. Batteries Plus in Beaverton on Canyon Road next to Tom's Pancake House.
NFL Sunday Night Football on ESPN HD. Football like you've never seen it before. From bone-crushing tackles to fingertip catches, Comcast digital cable with high definition is the best way to experience the extremes of the NFL. 100-yard sprints to 1-inch battles. Don't miss any of it with the best seat in the house. Watch Sunday Night Football on ESPN HD. And the best way to get HD is through Comcast digital cable with high definition.
Here's some of the stories we're following at this hour. In Bali, bombings in 2 tourist areas kill at least 19 people, including 2 Americans, according to the AP. A top Indonesian anti-terrorism official says the bombings were, quote, clearly the work of terrorists. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger praises nearly 3,000 firefighters for saving thousands of homes in Southern California. Firefighters now have 40% of the blaze contained. And coming and going in New Orleans, residents there returning to their city, some deciding to rebuild, while others are deciding to pack up and leave. President Bush is set to make his second Supreme Court nomination in a matter of days, and speculation is reaching a fevered pitch here in Washington on who he'll choose. Joining us to talk about it and who could be on the short list is Stephen Henderson, Supreme Court correspondent for Knight Ridder newspapers. Okay, everyone accepts there's going to be a fight over this nomination because it's for the swing vote on the court, right. Tilts the balance.
Right.
So if you're the president, why not just go for broke and nominate someone who's really going to appeal to your conservative base?
Well, I think the primary reason is that you may not be able to get that person confirmed. One of the things that's true here in Washington is that A connects to B, connects to C, connects to D. You're doing well in one thing, you get your way in another. A president who's got an unpopular war on his hands and the criticism over the handling of the hurricanes, I think, is probably not in a position to go for broke here.
Okay, so if I'll say the political realities right now, you said the hurricane, also the war, we've got the delay indictment, we've also got the Senate Majority Leader facing questions about some stock trades. How does that change who is in or out of the list?
Well, I think it makes it very difficult to go for some of the people on the list who were
like who, for example?
Edith Jones, for example, who's a Fifth Circuit judge who is very popular among conservatives, but would have a very hard time in front of the committee with Democrats and could be a filibuster candidate. I think anybody who was filibustered for an appeals court seat before we had the deal that got some of them through, I think they have to be. If you don't want the fight, you can't nominate that.
So who do you think's risen to the top of the list?
I think there's some interesting candidates now that we've started talking about consensus nominees. I think one name I'm hearing a lot is Larry Thompson, a former Deputy Attorney General. Very, very likable, very popular, has some liberal interest groups that I think might support him. He's confirmable. Consuelo Callahan is another name that we're hearing a little bit. She's a judge out in the Ninth Circuit in California. She's a conservative, but a moderate conservative. Plus, she is, to my knowledge, the only female Hispanic Republican judge on an appeals court right now, so that probably boosts her stock a little bit.
Both of the last two candidates you mentioned are people who would fit what most people expect to be sort of a minority candidate. Do you think that's a foregone conclusion now?
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but I think there's a lot of pressure on the president to fill the seat. I mean, it's a court of 9 people. It has 1 African American, and right now 1 woman. That's not representative of either the country or of lawyers or judges even. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him to do something different.
A final question, what about the timing?
I think it's coming Monday, but you know, I've been wrong about an awful lot of stuff this summer in terms of timing and names. So I would be surprised if we got into a week from now and we didn't know. I think it's sooner rather than later. It's a seat that's just going to sit there empty if we don't fill it, so it's got to get done.
The president's going to strike while the iron's hot.
That's right.
Steve Henderson, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Coming up, the Able Danger controversy continues with new documents obtained by Fox News Channel. Is there an effort to silence those who say hijacker Mohammed Atta was identified more than a year before September 11th? And President Bush is sending out his A-team next week to drum up support for the war in Iraq. We'll tell you his plans coming up after the break.
You okay? I'm working like a dog. I run down to the quick printer, scan color documents, make color prints, run back, get approvals, run up to 5 and have to fax stuff all over the place. But I think I'm getting noticed. Is it rough by you too?
Not that rough.
What do you mean?
There's a color multifunction machine on my floor. I scan, copy, print, and fax and color from there. There's nothing to it.
Don't do this to me.
Xerox Color. It makes business sense.
Come on, come on.
Can a child fulfill the promise of a father? At New York Life, the tradition of being an agent is passed from generation to generation. These promises we make to you, to protect a family, to pay a policy when needed, are guaranteed not only by our values of financial strength, integrity, and humanity, but also by generations to come. Promises that last are why New York Life is the company you keep.
Spoiled produce? Not again. Stop wasting all that money.
Hi, I'm Debbie Meyer, and I no longer lose hundreds of dollars in wasted rotted fruits and vegetables. Now you can share my secret with Debbie Meyer's Everfresh Green Bag. Just look at the difference between 18 days in traditional storage and 18 days in my green bag storage. Do you want this or this? These strawberries were bought at the same time. Just look at the difference. Look at iceberg lettuce after just 8 days.
Air is not the enemy. It's the ethylene gas given off by fruits and vegetables as they ripen that causes them to spoil. Traditional containers and bags trap the ethylene gas and actually speed up rotting. But Debbie Meyer's Everfresh Green Bags are unique. They're made of an exclusive natural mineral form of zeolite, which actually absorbs and removes ethylene gas. Yes, absorbs and removes ethylene gas.
Look at this broccoli after 21 days. Here are baby carrots after 26 days. I know my green bags will keep your produce fresh longer. In fact, prove it to yourself with my money-back guarantee. Next time you buy fruits and vegetables, put all but one in my bag. If the produce in my green bags doesn't last longer than the one you left out, just return the bags to me for a full refund. No questions asked. Watch as these bananas age. Look at the difference. The bunch in my green bag is still fresh after 9 days. With over 100,000 satisfied customers, I know you'll love them.
For just $19.95, we'll send you 30 of Debbie Meyer's Everfresh Green Bags, 15 medium-sized and 15 large-sized. They're reusable up to 8 times. That's up to 240 uses. Call now and we'll include 5 of Debbie's super-sized bags at no extra cost. Just pay the additional shipping and handling. They're perfect for watermelons and bulk produce. For just $19.95 with the bonus, you get 35 reusable Debbie Meyer's Everfresh Green Bags with a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's no risk, so call now.
Now for a quick check of today's headlines, let's go to Greg Jarrett at the Fox News desk in New York. Greg.
Hi.
Hi, Catherine. Hello, everyone. At least 19 people now reported dead, more than 50 others injured after explosions in tourist areas on the Indonesian island of Bali. Now, police are saying those bombs went off simultaneously. One at a beach, the other at a very busy outdoor shopping center. The injured are said to include at least 2 Americans. Back in 2002, you may recall, bombings blamed on an al-Qaeda-linked group killed more than 200 people on that same island. U.S. military is saying that 2 U.S. soldiers were killed today in Iraq. Both died in explosions while out on patrol. Meanwhile, American forces launched a new offensive along Iraq's border with Syria. About 1,000 Marines, soldiers, and sailors taking part in Operation Iron Fist, aimed at rooting out al-Qaeda fighters in Iraq. That offensive also trying to prevent terrorists from slipping into Iraq from Syria and improving security before the October 15th referendum on Iraq's new constitution. More detainees from Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison have been let go. The U.S. military releasing about 500 more prisoners. The releases complete a plan to free more than 1,000 people in honor of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. The 20th tropical depression of this year's hurricane season, the 20th, mind you, now churning in the western Caribbean. That storm is located about 110 miles southeast of Cozumel, Mexico. The Mexican government already issued tropical storm warnings for the Yucatan Peninsula. The depression could be named a tropical storm a bit later today, so stay tuned. Finally, London police said the recording studio where supermodel Kate Moss allegedly snorted cocaine has been raided. Police aren't saying whether they found any drugs there. Earlier this month, a tabloid published photographs of Moss using what appears to be cocaine. Since then, she lost several multi-million-dollar contracts. Moss has reportedly checked herself into an Arizona rehab clinic. And those are some of the stories Fox is following this hour. Now back to Catherine Herridge in Washington. More of Weekend Live. Catherine?
Greg, thanks a lot. Members of the Bush administration are out in full force in attempts to draw attention to recent American efforts in the war on terror. Molly Hennenberg is live here in Washington with that story. Molly.
Hi, Catherine. About the Bali bombings as well, the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia reminded Americans just yesterday that the terrorist threat in Indonesia, quote, remains high. It wasn't a travel warning. It didn't cite any specific intelligence, but it was a message, a reminder that Americans should remain vigilant about their security in Indonesia and that, quote, attacks could occur at any time in any location. And it pointed out that some planned demonstrations in Indonesia possibly could turn violent. Recently, the Bush administration has been and will continue next week to talk about the war on terror and how it continues in Iraq and elsewhere. President Bush is set to give a war on terror speech next Thursday. Today, in his weekly radio address, he spoke about the war in Iraq and said violence there may escalate as the vote on the Constitution approaches, but says the terrorists' efforts, quote, will fail.
We're hunting down deadly terrorist leaders. We're conducting aggressive counterterrorism operations in the areas where the terrorists are concentrated. We're constantly adapting our tactics to the changing tactics of the terrorists. And we're training more Iraqi forces to assume increasing responsibility for their country's security.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice also has been speaking on the war on terror. She says if the U.S., quote, quits in Iraq, it would, quote, embolden every enemy of democracy. So Secretary Rice says the U.S. must continue its mission against terrorists and insurgents in Iraq.
This is not some grassroots coalition of national resistance. These are merciless killers who want to provoke nothing less than a full-scale civil war among Muslims across the entire Middle East. And having done so, they would build an empire of terror and oppression.
And again, back to the Bali situation, the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia did issue what's called a warden's message to Americans yesterday. It reminded Americans to be vigilant in Indonesia and reminded them that the terror threat remains high, as certainly we saw in Bali today. And the Associated Press is saying that 2 Americans were injured. The State Department says it's looking into those reports. Live in Washington, I'm Molly Henneberg. Catherine, back to you.
Molly, thank you very much. Fox News has obtained new documents in the Able Danger controversy. Members of the Secret Military Intelligence Unit claim they identified 9/11 hijacker Mohammed Atta more than a year before the attacks, and they now claim the Defense Department is limiting their access to members of Congress. Joining us now is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer and his attorney Mark Zaid. Tony is a very familiar person to many of our viewers. You've talked at length about the project, but I understand you're no longer able, or you feel you're no longer able to do that publicly, in large part due to a letter that was received, correct?
In fact, because of that letter, Tony is not allowed to talk, not only to members of the media, but members of Congress, even though we put in specific requests that he go and brief per their request, either their staff or the members themselves, and even despite the fact that the Defense Intelligence Agency has known for months that Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer has been briefing members of the media. So twice they've blocked his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and now they're going a step further. He's not even allowed to give closed-door briefings.
We've got a copy of that letter, and let's go to the graphics so we can show people in part what it says. It reads, "This is again to inform you and Mr. Schaefer that DOD has not given Mr. Schaefer permission to meet with any members of Congress or congressional staff members on any official matters." Now, what's striking to me is that he's been speaking with them fairly openly for the better part of 4 or 5 months, and suddenly there has been this change. What do you put that down to?
Well, it's been very interesting. Obviously, also, he's been speaking on the media, and in fact, when I testified in his place because of DOD's efforts before the Senate Judiciary Committee, the witness who came after me, who was an Assistant Secretary of Defense, said that nothing within the hearing was classified. And all I did was repeat what Tony and the others were going to tell to the committee. So it's hard to judge exactly what the Defense Department is doing besides sort of circling the wagons around something they believe is embarrassing. And the question is, are they covering up something that was actually substantive that Able Danger did, or are they covering up something now that they just feel is embarrassing because they didn't do their job the first time?
Mm-hmm. Now, just walk us through this. Does Tony now qualify as a whistleblower, and if he does, what protections are offered to him in terms of how he can communicate with members of Congress?
Well, by every definition, he's definitely a whistleblower. Now, that's different from a statutory definition or anything by the law. By law, because he's a member of the intelligence community, he has no whistleblower protection. And even if there is even some semblance of protection on paper, there's nothing in reality that gives him protection. He can talk to members of Congress on some personal matters. The dog down the street keeps barking and no one does anything about it, so he can complain to his congressional member about that. But if he wants to complain about government misconduct, about unlawful activities, about reprisals that the DIA is conducting against him, he's not allowed to tell Congress that.
Just to wrap up, I want to make clear that I did ask the Pentagon for a response. Up until this point, they've been saying that they've been very freely giving information and providing individuals to speak privately with staffers on a number of Senate committees, Intelligence and Judiciary. But when I asked if this letter seemed to fly in the face of that statement, I was not given a further response. Mark Zaid, Tony Schaefer, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joining me now on the phone with more on the Able Danger probe and pre-9/11 intelligence breakdowns is Congressman Dan Burton of Indiana. Congressman, thank you for being with us.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, thank you. One of the big mysteries in this case is what happened to this alleged al-Qaeda chart that had Muhammad Atta's name on it. Congressman Curt Weldon has maintained that it was given to a senior member of the National Security Council, Stephen Hadley, shortly after the 9/11 attacks. And I understand you have some corroborating information about that meeting, or can tell us slightly more about it.
Yeah, well, I helped facilitate the meeting. At the time, I was chairman of the Government Reform and Oversight Committee, and Curt Weldon contacted me and asked me if I would help set up a meeting with Condoleezza Rice down at the White House, and Mr. Hadley was her assistant. And we did go down to the White House, and we did meet with Mr. Hadley, and we went into, Curt went into great detail about this map or chart that showed how it worked, and I do believe there were names on it. I can't remember which ones were on it though.
So you don't remember the Atta name or anything that specific?
No, all I know is that he had talked about a number of military agencies that had worked together to use computerized information to draw a picture of who was the most likely terrorist suspect, and that was the chart we took down to the White House. Incidentally, I had also, prior to that, during another investigation, had subpoenaed documents from the Defense Department. We got about 10 or 15 boxes, which were over in Crystal City in a safe area over there. I don't know whatever happened to those, but Curt seems to think there were documents in there that were relevant to this investigation.
Now, sir, when you met with Mr. Hadley, did he make any representations as to how they would handle the chart, or any way they would investigate the source of the information on that chart?
As I recall, he said he was going to take a close look at it and see if there was anything they could use out of it. Beyond that, I don't remember.
Late last week, Mr. Hadley's office for the first time responded and said they recalled the meeting, but they had found no chart in their records that seemed to fit the description of this chart. Is that an acceptable response, having witnessed the meeting yourself?
You know, I don't want to criticize anybody because all I remember is setting up the meeting with Kurt and Condoleezza Rice's office, and we went down there. I remember the chart very clearly. I was involved in a number of investigations at the time involving other things, but I do remember the chart clearly. I remember Kurt going into great detail with Mr. Hadley about it. I remember Mr. Hadley saying he would take a close look at the information that we were giving him, and beyond that, I can't remember.
Quick answer.
And I'm not being evasive. I really don't. And I don't remember. I remember there were names on the chart, but I don't remember Ada in particular.
Well, we'll hope that Senate Judiciary gets to the bottom of it. Congressman Dan Burton, thank you very much.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the one more thing I'd like to say is that I'd like to know what were in those boxes that were left over in Crystal City. If they're still available, those ought to be looked at very thoroughly.
It's another sort of tentacle to the story. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, some good weather breaks through the smoky haze of the California wildfires as firefighters gain more control over the blazes, and insider drug smuggling at American ports. A recent drug bust has revealed pier and port employees are helping foreign drug dealers get their product into this country. What are the implications for national security? We'll be right back.
On the bus go wah, all through the town. The mommies on the bus go. Hello?
Mr. Brown, this is your BMW service advisor. Would you like to schedule an oil change?
How did you know I needed an oil change?
Your car called and told me.
What else did it tell you?
That's it.
Great.
Teleservice from BMW. The first car smart enough to call when you need service. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
We use a lot of paper around here.
We print it.
Then copy it.
We file it.
And transfer it. We lose it.
Found it. We process it and turn it into more paper.
And we wonder why our information flow doesn't actually flow.
One company can uncomplicate your paper flow. Lexmark. We've designed smarter ways for the world's biggest businesses to print, move, and manage information. Go to lexmark.com and see how we can help yours uncomplicate.
Does it seem like everyone has their hand out? The mechanic who repaired your car, the contractor who patched your roof, the plumber, the vet. Now you need a hand. If you're a homeowner and you need cash now, call this toll-free number. Merit Financial can get cash in your hands by this time next week. In just 7 days, you could have the cash to catch up on bills and give yourself some financial breathing room. That's right. By this time next week, you could have the cash you need. And Merit makes it easy. You'll have your cash in 7 days. We'll handle the paperwork and deliver it to your doorstep. You can be approved in 10 minutes, even if your credit isn't perfect. You can even skip your next mortgage payment and keep that cash in your hand. So call this toll-free number right now and let Merit Financial give you the hand you deserve. So if it's the gas station, creditors, or the tax man, Merit can help. Here's your cash. Hey, thanks. Now, let's get you a new shirt. Have your cash by this time next week. Call now.
Oh, check this out. What is this? It's to strengthen my bones.
Oh, let me see that. Once a month. Oh, wow, that's great.
It's Boniva, a once-monthly prescription treatment for postmenopausal osteoporosis, clinically proven to build and maintain bone density.
Where did you get it?
My doctor prescribed it.
I didn't know you could take just one tablet a month for anything.
Yeah, with Boniva you can.
And unlike treatments you take every week, you only need Boniva once a month.
All I can say is wow. Wow, once a month. Wow, look at that dessert.
You should not take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for at least 60 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. You do the right thing to treat your osteoporosis. To build and maintain strong, healthy bones, ask your doctor about once monthly Boniva. There's only one.
Through a rapid and well-coordinated response, firefighters in Southern California contained 40% of a 23,000-acre blaze. Governor Schwarzenegger is commending the Ventura and Los Angeles County Fire Departments for saving about 2,000 homes. LA County Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky joins me now with the latest developments. We were just talking in the break, and you said to me that you think the fire in Topanga is largely under control, but you're concerned about one in Burbank. How so?
Well, the Topanga fire, while it's not completely under control, I think they have a beat on it, and they're building the line around it, and I think they're going to knock it down, and the worst is over in Topanga, and we're very fortunate, thanks to weather and other things, that only one home, maybe two homes were lost. The Burbank fire is in much more rugged terrain. There aren't any homes in the immediate vicinity, although there are some on the other side of the ridge. It's been burning out of control for the last day or day and a half. It's a pest of a fire. It keeps growing, and the fire department is having difficulty getting access to it because it's very rugged, steep mountain terrain. The aircraft that carry water and fire retardants are back at work this morning once the sun came up. I have confidence they'll be able to knock it down, but it's a little bit more complicated right now. Fortunately, there aren't a lot of structures or residents in the immediate vicinity.
People have talked about the response to these wildfires as a textbook response in terms of the emergency mobilization of your assets. Explain to me how you think that is so.
Well, we have a culture in California, and especially in Southern California, where we've had so many disasters, so many fires and floods, that our jurisdictions work together. When we have a disaster, we have dozens of fire departments in this county. We have the county fire department, the LA City Fire Department, and many smaller fire departments in the municipalities. The same with the police departments. When we have a regional disaster, the disaster doesn't respect the municipal boundary line. So all of our municipalities kind of merge into one unified command. And that's what happened here in the Topanga fire. It's what differentiates California from so many other parts of the country. Municipal egos are set aside. People work together in the interest of the public and the public safety, and this was a textbook response. The other thing is we train for this kind of event all the time. You could not have had this kind of response if you'd never trained for it. Our fire departments train at least once a year for these very eventualities in evacuation route preparation, attack, response, and the whole 9 yards. So they've done a great job, and we're very lucky that the weather cooperated as well.
Seems that the key has been a quick mobilization and also a quick local mobilization. Zev Yaroslavsky, LA County Supervisor, thank you very much. We'll have more straight ahead on Weekend Live, and the latest on this incident in Bali. It looks like a terrorist attack. 19 dead, at least 19, and possibly 2 Americans. That's coming up next.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with
Some
you.
people are happier at work than others. They're using Kyocera printers and copiers. Kyocera, brilliant color, advanced technology that's simple to use, and a low cost of ownership. They're people-friendly. People-friendly printers and copiers. Only from Kyocera.
The whole world smiles with you.
It's time people who get loans are treated fairly. That's why eLoan has no lender fees and you get the money you need fast. Check out our current monthly refinancing options. Those are just some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
It's your last chance to call 1-866-SO-FAST-1 to sign up for Comcast's high-speed internet at only $19.99 a month for the first 3 months. You'll get unparalleled protection and 3 free downloads from McAfee Security Solutions, a savings of over $100. A 6,000 kilobits per second connection means faster downloads for online news, music, games, and so much more. Hurry, offer ends October 17th. Sign up for Comcast's high-speed internet today by calling 1-866-SO-FAST-1 and get the service that's always safe, always fast, always Comcast.
At TNC Dodge, it's the full line closeout. Why buy at TNC Dodge? Here are 5 reasons. 1, every Dodge is on sale. 2, the largest inventory of 05s in the Portland Metro. 3, employee pricing plus, and you get the rebates. 4. Rebates and bonus cash as high as $4,500. 5. You get free lifetime tires. Take advantage of Employee Pricing Plus and lifetime tires while it lasts. We are Town & Country Dodge in Wilsonville. Drive home happy.
Oregon business owners and managers have found a new alternative to old-fashioned, high-priced, classified help wanted ads. They're using PortlandJobFinder.com to find and hire smart local employees. PortlandJobFinder.com is easy to use. Just click on Post a Job and start saving time and money. There are no deadlines and no waiting for tomorrow's newspaper. Find the job applicants you need fast by placing your next help wanted ad on PortlandJobFinder.com. It's free for job seekers and good for business.
From undersea adventures to outer space antics, the fall box office bonanza is underway, and our own Bill McCuddy is here to help sort through the hits and hopefully not too many misses.
Hi, Catherine. Something old is something new in science fiction. The always winning Julianne Moore is winning again, and Jessica Alba's jumping into the blue. Do we care? It's your weekend at the movies. Take a look.
Baby, can you hear me?
Is Serenity the new Star Wars? Well, it depends on who you ask. New York Times says it's better. USA Today calls it sci-fi silliness, trying to be something more. Hey, it is Star Wars. Don't send the Force after me. The irony here is that Fox had this originally as a TV series called Firefly. They canceled it after 11 episodes a few years back, but fans bought a lot of DVDs, so Universal, not Fox, tapped creator Joss Whedon to reunite the cast. Stars to fans, unknowns to the rest of us. Is this a franchise? We'll know in a distant time called Monday. Next, the always winning Julianne Moore is winning some jingle contests to bring some jingle into her household as the prize winner of Defiance, Ohio. This is based mostly on a true story, and she can use the money and prizes. Husband Woody Harrelson drinks, and they've got 10 kids to raise. Apparently, Woody wasn't that drunk. Finally, Jessica Alba and Paul Walker are swimming a lot, and that's a good thing, according to most critics, because underwater, they can't deliver some of the laughable above-water lines of Into the Blue. They find treasure under the sea, and apparently both have been doing a lot of water aerobics. I liked this movie in the 70s when it was called The Deep with Nick Nolte, Jacqueline Bisset, and that very famous wet T-shirt. Until then, this one will be into the bin at Blockbuster when I finally see it. BoxOfficeGuru.com says even if it's all wet, that Jessica Alba movie will make about $11 million this weekend. It also says the top winner will be Serenity with about 16 or 17 million, although I think it could do a little better. Also in release, The History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen will probably make about $7 or $8 million. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. And there's a sneak tonight and tomorrow night for Into Her Shoes, the Shirley MacLaine, Cameron Diaz, and Toni Collette Weeper that could be a big sweeper at Oscars. Catherine?
Bill, thanks a lot. Now for a quick check on the forecast, let's go to Chris Knowles in the Fox Weather Center. Chris.
Hi, Catherine. The East Coast today, plenty of high pressure, keeping things sunny. Warming things up a little bit, too. New York looking for a high temperature around 75 degrees. In the nation's midsection, we're looking for storminess for parts of Oklahoma like Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and the kids in Kansas going to get a little rain, too. Out west, we're watching those wildfires in Southern California. The good news today is we have a little bit of onshore flow. That's bringing some moist air and some cooler air. Winds out of the southwest from the ocean provides a cooling trend through next week. So while it is dry, not as dry as it has been. Now, we're going to go from dry to extremely wet. We're going to go down in the Caribbean now, just off the Yucatan Peninsula, off of the coast of Cancun, and watch what is now Tropical Depression number 20, our 20th of the year. This thing could intensify a little bit more, and perhaps by late Tuesday and into Wednesday, make its way across the Gulf and into Mexico. The this most southern part of Texas could see a little bit of the storm, so we'll be on the lookout for that. Back to you.
Chris, thanks a lot. Coming up, the death toll is rising in Bali as bombs rip through 2 tourist areas on that Indonesian island. We'll have a live report after the break. Massive drug bust at some of America's biggest ports. We'll bring you new details on how it was an inside job and take a closer look at the Homeland Security implications. We'll be back.
months of burning the midnight oil. 2 weeks of second-guessing yourself. 1 minute of soul-searching. It all comes down to this. To find out how a Savin document management system can connect you to success, go to Savin.com. Now you're ready.
Hey, look at me. Lock in. Crusher here has an extra deltoid muscle. Means he's got exponentially greater bucking propulsion. Now you lean back and you hang on. I'll be there.
You rodeo clowns are a lifesaver.
Rodeo clown? No, I'm with the birthday party.
Hello, Timmy!
Oh, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
If you're worried about gas prices going crazy, here's some important news. There's now one place where gas prices have hit an all-time low. Your Mitsubishi dealer. Introducing Gas Comes Standard. Right now, when you purchase or lease any new 2005 Mitsubishi, you get a year's worth of gas on us. So head over to your nearest Mitsubishi dealer and get even more thrills per gallon. Mitsubishi. Driven to thrill.
Total One Partners.
McPhee & Associates.
This is Al. Hello.
Hi.
Now with free incoming plans from Sprint Business, it's easier to say yes when customers call. And with our buy one, get one free deal, you and your company can say yes. Sprint Business gives you free incoming calls from all phones, all networks, all the time. So you can make just about any place a workplace. Call 877-63-SPRINT or visit a Sprint or Nextel store today. Sprint Business. Yes, you can.
Sunday, a brutal enemy, protected by our president, allowed to build a deadly war arsenal, making the skies over Vietnam the most dangerous in the world. Now, hear exclusive stories of perilous covert missions and heroism undercover in Operation Rolling Thunder.
I'm Oliver North. I'll see you on the next War Stories.
Fox News Channel's acclaimed series, War Stories with Oliver North, is now available on videotape. Call now, 1-800-933-0760.
This is a Fox News alert. Several explosions have been reported today on the island of Bali in Indonesia. Tourist areas were the target, and there are reports of casualties. Journalist Marianne Kearney is on the phone from Jakarta with the latest. Now, Marianne, you told me in the last hour that the death toll has risen. Where does it stand, and how many Americans do we think are involved?
It's at 21 at the moment, that's confirmed. It could be more, and then dozens of injured. And there's reports that there could have been 2 Americans amongst the dead as well.
The State Department is working to confirm that figure. I want to talk about the people who've been maimed. From what you have been able to gather in terms of information and from the video we're seeing right now, is it your sense that we may be looking at dozens maimed and serious injuries, perhaps even loss of limbs?
Yes, absolutely. Local TV is showing some very kind of bloodied victims being carried out on stretchers from the site. And reporters down there are saying that they're still getting people, which is now 4 hours after the blast, that are still being brought in. And it looks like it's kind of quite chaotic. And so, yes, I think there's quite a lot of victims. And yeah, I saw at least one person who looked like he might have lost a limb. And reporters were also saying that amongst the dead, those at the Kuta site, which is a very popular place for tourists, that several of the bodies were really quite badly damaged. So those who survived would also be seriously wounded.
Just to remind people, that is the same site, virtually the same site of the Bali bombing in 2002, which left over 200 dead, and that was eventually linked to Jemaah Islamiyah, that's the al-Qaeda affiliate in Southeast Asia. Moving on, firefighters in Southern California are beginning to gain on wildfires that have engulfed much of the region in recent days. Trace Gallagher, is live in Thousand Oaks with that story. Trace.
And Catherine, they're really battling the clock now because they want to get on these fires while the weather is still cooperating, because the Santa Ana winds, those hot winds out of the desert, expected to come back in the next 3 or 4 days. Really focusing on 2 major fires. The Burbank fire, for one, has burned about 700 acres, still burning out of control. At this time, it is only burning brush and not threatening homes, though they have had some flare-ups and there are some voluntary evacuations there. They do not want to let the Burbank fire get anywhere near as big as the Topanga fire, which has now consumed some 24,000 1,000 acres. They tell us it is 40% contained, but we expect that number will go up as the day goes on because the weather, again, is helping. The humidity is up, the winds are down, and the temperatures have dropped off a little bit. Still some 3,000 firefighters battling these flames. They've got the air tankers back up in the air, as well as the helicopters trying to attack these things and blanket them while they can. They are fighting this fire the exact opposite way they fought the San Diego fire 2 years ago when they had very little air support and very little manpower. That fire cost 2,200 homes to burn down. California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger was here yesterday touring the area. He came by, really had some great words for the firefighters who have done a heroic job saving some 2,000 to 3,000 homes. The governor called them real-life action heroes.
First responders have just come back from fighting at Hurricane Katrina and done an incredible job there. And I've talked to those governors there. They complimented me how the California team, the first responders, were the most active and the most aggressive, working day and night.
A couple of footnotes. Most of the evacuees who were out in the past couple of days are now being allowed back into their homes. The weather, check that, the air quality here in Southern California seems to be getting a lot better. But again, more Santa Anas, which are winds coming off the desert versus off the ocean, are expected to come in the next 2 or 3 days. Catherine.
Trace Gallagher, thanks. A 4-year-old girl was found wandering the streets of New York City. Her mother has now been declared missing, and police have begun questioning the missing mother's boyfriend. Rebecca Gomez is live in the New York newsroom with that story. Rebecca.
Catherine, New York City police will only say the boyfriend is a person of interest, but there are reports that his story keeps changing. Police have released a picture of the little girl's mother and are asking for the public's help in determining what happened to this woman. 26-year-old Monica Rivadeneira Lozado was last seen a week ago today. She had lived with the boyfriend in a Queens, New York apartment for only 3 months. Her 4-year-old daughter, Valerie, was found wandering around barefoot, alone, and crying around 1 a.m. last Sunday. She told police a man had taken her from bed and left her in the street. Authorities allowed reporters to talk with the little girl to help generate public response.
I got lost, and when I was sleeping, he took me in the car, and he took me outside with no shoes. So I was crying.
Police searching the area where Valerie was abandoned. The New York Post reporting today the boyfriend told police he dropped Monica and her daughter off at the airport to catch a flight back to her native Bolivia. Monica Lozado is 26 years old. She has dyed blonde hair, is 5'6", and weighs 105 pounds. She has a tattoo of a bluebird on her stomach and was last seen about a week ago in Forest Hills, New York. 4-year-old Valerie is in foster care right now. Authorities tell reporters that she was too well cared for to have been abandoned, which makes them fear the worst about her mother's disappearance. Catherine?
It's a tough story. Rebecca Gomez, thanks a lot. In Iraq today, nearly 1,000 U.S. troops are engaged in Operation Iron Fist, the latest push to hunt down al-Qaeda on the Syrian border. Steve Harrigan is in Baghdad with that story. Steve.
Catherine, this is the third time in the past 4 months that we have seen major operations in western Iraq. This time they're centered near the town of Qaim. More than 1,000 U.S. troops involved. The goal to flush out and break control of al-Qaeda forces in some of these villages along the Syrian border, and also to stop foreign terrorists from crossing over that Syrian border. More than 1,000 U.S. troops involved. No reports on any casualties yet. In the meantime, north of Baghdad in the city of Balad, Iraqi officials were touring the damage, the wreckage, after a series of terror attacks there. 3 car bomb explosions going off within a half an hour of each other earlier this week. It was a deadly week. Iraqi terrorists killing up to 200 people this week, and 15 U.S. military personnel also killed. It was widely expected in the run-up to Iraq's elections, to a referendum on the Constitution 2 weeks from now, there would be an increase in violence, and we are seeing that increase in violence on a day-to-day basis. 8 more people killed today, including 2 U.S. service personnel. And finally, the prison here in Baghdad, Abu Ghraib. There was another release of prisoners. 500 non-violent prisoners set free. That makes 1,000 set free this week. It's a goodwill gesture to mark the start of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Catherine, back to you.
Steve Harrigan in Baghdad, thanks a lot. Biohazard sensors here in Washington last weekend showed the presence of an elevated amount of a potentially deadly bacteria, dangerous bacteria rather, that was in the air. The good news is that the substance was never deemed a serious threat. The bad news, according to local officials, is they had just found out about this potential hazard yesterday. Molly Hennenberg is in Washington with that story. Molly.
Hi, Catherine. Well, it's all part of the war on terror, and recently the Bush administration has been, and will continue to be, speaking about the war on terror and the war in Iraq, telling Americans that terrorists still want to attack us. Just yesterday, the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia reminded U.S. citizens there that the terrorist threat in Indonesia, quote, remains high. And today we had those bombings in Bali. Now, that wasn't a travel warning. It didn't cite any specific intelligence, but it was a warden's message, a reminder that Americans should remain vigilant about their security in Indonesia, and that, quote, attacks could occur at any time in any location. It also pointed out that some demonstrations in Indonesia could possibly turn violent. President Bush is set to give a war on terror speech next Thursday. Today, in his weekly radio address, he spoke on the situation in Iraq and said violence there may escalate as the vote on the Constitution approaches. But he says the terrorists' efforts, quote, will fail.
We're hunting down deadly terrorist leaders. We're conducting aggressive counterterrorism operations in the areas where the terrorists are concentrated. We are constantly adapting our tactics to the changing tactics of the terrorists. And we're training more Iraqi forces to assume increasing responsibility for their country's security.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice also has been speaking on the war on terror. She says if the U.S., quote, quits in Iraq, it would, quote, embolden every enemy of democracy. So Secretary Rice says the U.S. must continue its mission against terrorists and insurgents in Iraq.
Not some grassroots coalition of national resistance. These are merciless killers who want to provoke nothing less than a full-scale civil war among Muslims across the entire Middle East. And having done so, they would build an empire of terror and oppression.
Back to the Bali bombings today, the Associated Press is reporting that at least 2 Americans were injured. A couple other may have been killed. The State Department can't confirm any of that, but is looking into those reports. Catherine?
Molly, as you know, the gremlins get in the computer every once in a while and toss you the wrong lead. You're very smooth. Thank you very much for helping me out on that. Okay. Operation Peer Pressure is an ongoing investigation into smuggling led by the Department of Homeland Security's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, also known as ICE. This week they announced that 22 members of 2 Colombian drug trafficking groups were arrested. Insiders at American ports aided the smugglers and their efforts, and this makes it all the more troubling. Joining me now is ICE's chief of the Contraband Smuggling Unit, Matt Allen. Just want to quickly lay it out for people. You had a guy in a federal prison in Pennsylvania who was kind of calling the shots on this coke smuggling operation. Then you had people on the inside at the port in Staten Island, some longshoremen. How were they facilitating the smuggling?
The key service that they provided was making it possible for the smuggling organization to get access to sea containers that contained cocaine and enable them to break into Howland Hook Marine Terminal and remove drugs and undermining federal inspection efforts to find drugs before it left the terminal.
We're seeing some of the drugs on the screen right now. If I'm correct, it was inside sort of a coffee shipment. And these containers were taken to the metal fences that surround the port. And then what happened?
The smuggling organization had created break-in crews who were able to infiltrate the Howland Hook Marine Terminal, break into the containers, remove the drugs, and then take those drugs outside the terminal through the gate, and then drive away in vehicles.
And is it not correct that they also tried to reseal the containers to make them look like no one had been in them?
Exactly. They put fake seals back on the containers in order to make it appear as though no one had been there before.
I'm just curious, if you can see close on some of these shots of the cocaine, they keep putting labels with Teletubbies on them. I'm wondering if this is sort of a joke among drug smugglers or what that's about.
It is an attempt to kind of brand their own product. It's very common in the smuggling world for organizations to put some kind of unique marking on the kilograms in order to identify ownership. Very often some of the loads are split, and the smuggling organizations share risk by combining loads.
So you know whose coke is whose by the cartoon character that's on the front. Okay.
Correct.
Now, aside from helping them facilitate getting the cocaine out of the port, they also helped with some communication in the sense they would tell the smugglers when the port was hot, meaning that law enforcement was present. Is that correct?
Yeah, that counter surveillance service is very important in minimizing the risk that the smuggling organization takes and knowing when law enforcement is there and when they're not. And it's their own version of risk assessment.
You know, you're looking at the store and you're thinking it's a smuggling operation and it was cocaine, but it clearly could have been individuals, it could have been terrorists, it could have been nuclear material for WMD. And I think it just underscores the problem of these inside conspiracies. We've seen them right in other areas too.
You're completely correct, and I think that's one of the lessons that we've learned since 9/11 and one of the reasons why DHS and ICE and Customs and Border Protection were created. That whole insider threat undermines all of the technology and people and infrastructure that we've put in place in order to minimize the risk to the United States. And things like the insider threat undermine that tremendously.
And it's not just at ports. We've seen it at DMVs. We've seen it at airports with the baggage handlers as well.
Yes, and you know, that insider threat is a threat that crosses all of our programs, whether it's drugs, whether it's critical infrastructure, whether it's worksite enforcement, whether it's identity and benefits fraud. That threat is there, and we recognize it and are aggressively pursuing it.
Matt Allen, Chief of the Contraband Smuggling Unit with ICE, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, even with the interruption of oil production caused by Hurricane Katrina, crude oil prices have changed very little. So why do we continue to see gas prices posting in the upper $2 range? And who's taking the big bucks from your wallet? And it's obvious that you can give your doctor the boot, but can he or she do the same to you? We'll have that story coming up.
You okay? I'm working like a dog. I run down to the quick printer, scan color documents, make color prints, run back, get approvals, run up to 5 and have to fax stuff all over the place. But I think I'm getting noticed. Is it rough by you too?
Not that rough.
What do you mean?
There's a color multifunction machine on my floor. I scan, copy, print, and fax and color from there. There's nothing to it.
Don't do this to me.
Xerox Color. It makes business sense.
Come on, come on. Pollen, dust, dander, and now smog and ozone too. Exclusively from Sharper Image, the Ionic Breeze Silent Air Purifier with Ozone Guard that can actually convert smog and ozone into oxygen. Cleaning and circulating your air with no fans, no filters, silently. America's most trusted brand of air purifier introduces revolutionary new technology. Sharper Image, working with the Engelhard Corporation, inventors of the modern catalytic converter, introduces Ozone Guard with Premier Catalyst, recognized by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as a newer way to reduce air pollution. In fact, the more polluted the incoming air, the more oxygen it helps generate. The Ionic Breeze charges incoming air and contaminants attached to the collection grid. Then the air passes through an additional cleaning stage in the new Ozone Guard grill with Premier Catalyst coating that instantly converts a significant portion of smog and ozone into pure oxygen. Then cleaner, fresher air is accelerated back into the room. The Ionic Breeze has earned the seal of the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America because it's been proven to reduce airborne allergens. Don't be confused with our noisy competitors. Even if they look the same, they don't have Ozone Guard. Only the Ionic Breeze has Ozone Guard to help instantly convert smog and ozone into oxygen.
I've tried every air purifier on the market today, and there's only one that meets everyone's needs, and that's the Ionic Breeze.
Order today and we'll give you a $69 bathroom Ionic Breeze and a $39 car Ionic Breeze. Try the Ionic Breeze with Ozone Guard for 2 months, and if you don't love it, send it back. But keep the bathroom and the car Ionic Breezes over a $100 value as a free gift. Call now and get a free 5-year warranty and ask about free shipping.
Call 1-800-640-8100. That's 1-800-640-8100.
After Hurricanes Katrina and Rita tore apart oil refineries in the Gulf of Mexico, gas prices across the nation soared to record high prices. But since, the price of crude oil has only increased slightly. So why are the gas prices so high, and who's eating all the profits? Energy expert Mark Cooper joins us now to fill us in on who's making the big bucks. Okay, Mark, crude hasn't really gone up that much, but the price continues to go up. Why is this a refinery problem?
Well, because there's a bottleneck in the refineries. There's not enough capacity out there. The major oil companies control the refineries, and so they set the price of of gasoline, the wholesale price of gasoline, which the dealers, the marketers, the distributors, the retailers have to pay. And so Katrina made it obvious that the price of gasoline went up 50 cents to $1. The price of crude went up a dime. The missing 40 to 90 cents went right into the pockets of the refiners. This is a problem that's been growing over the last 5 or 6 years. So those refiner margins have just become tremendous over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's a result of all the mergers that we've had in the industry.
All right, so it's a big, giant monopoly. So we'll come back to that, but I want to move on to, your local gas station. In my research, I came across a term called rocket and feathers, which means they shoot up the price, let's say to $3.25, and you're like, wow, that's so expensive. And then the next day you go by and it's $3.15, and you think, bargain. And it floats down, and then you fill up on your gas. Is that a known phenomenon in the industry?
It's the term was coined around 1970 in the academic literature. And what it is that because there's so little competition in the refinery, they can put the price up very quickly. That actually squeezes the dealers, who then, when the price of the wholesale price starts to come down, well, they try and catch up. And so it comes down much more slowly. But the key thing here is that the refiners have not let it get back down to the level. So it's sort of been a roller coaster and a ratchet, where the base for the next price spike is always higher than the last one. And we're talking tens of billions of dollars of increased profit in the refining sector over the last 5 years. It's a tremendous problem. And it's all a set of business decisions about how many refineries to open. And in fact, when all those mergers took place, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Texaco, they closed 50 refineries for business reasons.
Okay, so let's talk about this refinery issue and the final question. People complain, the big oil companies complain there isn't enough refinery capacity, but aren't they really the ones who are controlling the investment and the funding and the building of these refineries?
Absolutely. They have no interest in expanding capacity. They don't have to worry about new people coming into the market. This is a very, very tight oligopoly, a very small number of players. And so they decide, they close the refineries, they refuse to build refineries. They can build them and comply with the environmental laws. They just don't make enough money, in their opinion, to do so. And then they sort of complain about it. But the simple fact of the matter is that the industry is making $100 billion, probably more this year than a couple, 3 years ago, and they don't reinvest it either in refineries or even in looking for crude. They're just taking the money out of the consumer's pocketbook and into the bottom line.
I'd like to act surprised, but I'm not. Thank you very much, Mark. Okay, next time. Coming up, you can fire your doctor, but can they fire you? New details about your doctor's rights that might surprise you. And firefighters gain the upper hand over some of the fires scorching Southern California, but could the flames jump US 101 and make their way to Malibu? We've got an eye on that story next.
You can run around looking at house after house after house, or you can relax. JustListed.com emails you every home you want to see as soon as it's listed. JustListed.com, where your next home finds you.
An important message to all CNA insurance policyholders. If your business is affected by Hurricanes Katrina or Rita and you can't reach your agent directly, call the CNA Catastrophe Operations Center at 877-CNA-ASAP.
What cooks like butter, spreads like butter, and has a fresh dairy taste like butter without the cholesterol and high saturated fat? Smart Balance Buttery Spread. Smart Balance just received another Best Taste Award and is endorsed by professional chefs. It's the only spread with a patented balance of fats to help increase HDL good cholesterol and avoids trans fat naturally, not artificially as some spreads do. Smart Balance. You're going to love that buttery taste.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do we. That's why families trust Lowe's for installation. Not because we give you your very own project management teams to guide you and help you throughout the entire process, which we do, or because our installers are certified and fully insured, or because Lowe's guarantees you'll be satisfied with our installation service on everything we install. You see, at Lowe's, improving home improvement never ends. Now get all over-the-range microwaves installed for just $59.
We use a lot of paper around here.
We print it.
Then copy it.
We file it.
And transfer it. We lose it.
Found it. We process it and turn it into more paper.
And we wonder why our information flow doesn't actually flow.
One company can uncomplicate your paper flow. Lexmark. We've designed smarter ways for the world's biggest businesses to print, move, and manage information. Go to Lexmark.com and see how we can help yours uncomplicate.
Bring health, happiness, and energy into your life with the Simply Balanced tip from TV Land. Did you know that kids learn more than just what tastes good and what doesn't at each meal? They build healthy eating habits that last long beyond their youth.
I'll bet there's not a family on the block that's having a meal like this tonight.
Share more than meals at the family table.
Brought to you locally by LA Weight Loss Centers. Call today, 1-866-517-SLIM.
No dream. They watched for a way to get back. You did it. What did I do? You let the dead get in. Honey, don't you think you should sleep?
The Ring 2. On in-demand pay-per-view. Get it now from Comcast Digital Cable.
Here are some of the stories we're following right now. At least 21 people are reported dead after bombs ripped through 2 tourist areas in Bali, Indonesia. Over 50 people have also been wounded, including 2 Americans. Officials say it's the work of terrorists. As the water goes down, the death toll goes up. New Orleans is now at 95% dry, and the number of known dead in Louisiana has climbed to 932. Meanwhile, in the war on terror, about 1,000 U.S. service members launched an offensive in western Iraq today against the country's most feared militant group, al-Qaeda insurgents. If you don't like your doctor, or if you just hate him, you're well within your rights to fire them. But can they fire you? The American Medical Association's guidelines state that a doctor is obligated to provide for the continuity of medical care. But what if a patient is uncooperative, obnoxious, or even abusive? Can a doctor just cut them off? And what if the patient, say, is chronically late with the bills? Does insurance play a role in this? It's a slippery slope. Medical reporter Dr. Christine Dumas, author of Special Treatment, joins us with more on getting, your final payday card from your doctor or something like that. So, I'd never even heard about this. I mean, can a doctor really fire you, and how common is this?
You know what? I mean, a doctor-patient relationship is a two-way street, Catherine. It's just like any other relationship. And I think a doctor dismissing a patient is really, really rare. It doesn't happen very often, but a patient can be threatening, a patient can be abusive. There are a number of reasons where if the doctor doesn't feel comfortable, and they can dismiss a patient. And also, too, the patient, you want to feel comfortable with your doctor, and your doctor has to feel comfortable with you. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best care.
Okay, so your doctor decides he's going to get rid of you. Are there rules or guidelines that he or she has got to follow from the AMA?
There are, and from the AMA, and there's also a legal precedent. In the 5th District Court of Appeals in New Orleans in the late 80s, they held in favor of doctors being able to dismiss a patient, because if you couldn't, then it was in violation of the 13th Amendment, which was involuntary servitude. The AMA gives guidelines. You can't abandon a patient. There has to be continuity of care, but the court case in New Orleans was interesting because what happened was a specific doctor was taking care of a patient who had severe kidney problems. The patient was not going to his dialysis appointments. He was being abusive to the nurses, and he actually threatened the doctor's life. And not until the patient's sister called the doctor and told that doctor that her brother had a gun and he was doing target practice, only at that point did the doctor actually dismiss the patient because he didn't feel safe, and then the patient sued and the doctor won that case.
I think a lot of people are wondering whether insurance comes into play here. If you've got better insurance that pays faster, are you less likely to be fired by your doctor?
You know what, Catherine, I don't think that's where insurance is coming into it, but I think down the road you see a lot more with large health groups and insurance companies, something called pay for performance, where they'll go in and they'll evaluate a doctor's charts at random, and they'll give him a score. And one doctor told me that they looked at his charts and only gave him a score of 60% because some of his patients were not complying, were not taking the tests he asked them to take. And I think the big slippery slope that you referenced earlier is, imagine then if that starts happening and the doctor starts getting punished in terms of how he gets reimbursed, then doctors might want to start having all really healthy, compliant patients. And we know that sometimes, you tell somebody to do something, and maybe the 8th time you tell them that it's your patient, that finally, the light goes on and they, accept the care that they need. So I think that's something to look out for in the future.
Dr. Christine Dumas, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Catherine.
And don't forget about our own Dr. Manny Alvarez. Dr. Manny answers your questions at 3:30 Eastern right here on the Fox News channel. Send your medical questions to Dr. Manny at foxnews.com. Coming up, the death toll in Bali continues to climb. We'll have a live report from the region. And wind, rain, now fire. Flames continue to scorch parts of Southern California. Will today's forecast help or hurt the fight against nature's fury? That's next.
They have passed this way before. The journeymen and women who make their meeting, who make their mark. We know them well and pay homage with Wi-Fi, with 24-hour markets, with ergonomic 360-degree swiveling desk chairs. We've learned from their legion and remade ourselves in their image. These are the fruits of your labor. Enjoy.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time,
moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
I want an organized home, but I always run into the same 2 problems. Too much stuff in our closets and nowhere else to store it. But I found the solution with the new improved Space Bag storage packs. Space bags create more closet space by letting you store things someplace else. They're airtight and waterproof, so your items stay protected, which means you can store them under the bed, in the basement, or in the garage, knowing they're safe. Just pack your items into the space bag, seal the patented watertight zipper, then take any vacuum with a hose and vacuum out the air. Look how my kids' bedding stays compressed and protected, and later when you need it, everything comes right back to life, as fresh and clean as the day you put it in. They're see-through, so storing and finding things has never been easier. And unlike plastic bags, Space Bag storage packs are made with nylon. They're guaranteed to lock out dirt, bugs, and moisture. Plus, you can use them over and over and over again for things like moving, dorm rooms, and seasonal items. There's a Space Bag for every need in your house, from your bulkiest bedding to smaller items that can be stored in drawers. Good Housekeeping calls Space Bags a smart solution for cramped closets. You can get Space Bag storage packs at retail stores nationwide, but you can only get this special offer through TV. We'll send you 1 extra large, 2 large, and 2 medium bags for just $19.95. Call now and we'll give you another extra large for the same low price. And we'll include the travel Space Bag free. Altogether, that's 7 bags, a $47 value. You still pay only $19.95. And we guarantee you'll be satisfied or your money back. Think small. Think safe. Think Space Bag.
Call 1-800-304-4818 for this special TV offer of 7 space bags for only $19.95. Call 1-800-304-4818. Call now.
Now for a quick check of today's headlines, let's go to Paige Hopkins in New York. Paige.
Thanks, Catherine. Hello, everyone. Firefighters getting a handle on a 24,000-acre wildfire in California. Higher humidity and calmer winds are helping control the Topanga fire near the Los Angeles-Ventura County line. The LA County fire captain says the blaze is about 40% contained and people are starting to head back home. Meanwhile, another fire in the hills above Burbank has firefighters worried. The fire, which started Thursday in the mountains, has grown to about 1,000 acres. The 20th tropical depression of this year's hurricane season is now churning in the western Caribbean, and that storm is located about 110 miles southeast of Cozumel, Mexico. The Mexican government already issued tropical storm warnings for the Yucatan Peninsula. The depression could be named a tropical storm later today. Meanwhile, Hurricane Otis edging toward Mexico's Baja California Peninsula. The storm's winds strengthened to about 100 miles an hour, making it a Category 2 storm. It's expected to make landfall on a barely populated section of the peninsula on Monday. And as if she's not busy enough, Martha Stewart is keeping busy with a third TV show. The new series, which hasn't been named yet, will feature a group of 6 women who renovate a 125-year-old home. The women are coming off of welfare programs, recovering from bankruptcy, or getting out of drug rehab. Stewart currently hosts a daytime show and a version of The Apprentice. And those are some of the stories that Fox is following for you. Back to you, Catherine.
Before you go, what's in store in the next hour?
At the top of the hour, we're going to be telling you about the hunt on for the killer of a teenage girl. In a case with a lot of plot twists, police believe this girl was murdered for confronting the man who allegedly molested her best friend. And the case gets even more twisted from there. We're going to explore it. Also, when the Supreme Court gets back to business on Monday, one of the cases on the docket is Anna Nicole Smith. Yes, Anna Nicole Smith, the highest court in the land, agreeing to let the former Playboy model argue that she does deserve a piece of her 90-year-old late husband's multi-million-dollar fortune. We're going to have some fun with that when I see you at the top of the hour.
All right, thanks a lot, Paige. This is a Fox News alert. Several explosions have been reported today on the island of Bali in Indonesia. Tourist areas were the target. 21 people are confirmed dead and over 50 wounded. 2 Americans are believed to be among them. Journalist Marianne Kearney is on the phone from the capital, Jakarta, with the latest. Where are we with the death toll right now, Marianne? Has there been any change?
There's actually some reports now that it's gone up to 23, but this kind of reports are still sketchy, and we're still getting injured people being and bodies still being brought into the hospitals, to 2 main hospitals in Bali. So it's likely to kind of rise slightly in the next couple of hours.
Is there any more information now about the type of attack? Do we believe that a suicide bomber may have been involved, as was the case in 2002, or does this look more like just a simple package or a car bomb?
Yeah, police haven't said anything. They're down at the site, but they're not really commenting on that. But I understand that apparently cars weren't permitted to park outside the restaurants that were attacked in Kuta. And now at the other side at Jimbaran, I'm not sure about that, but it looks like the explosions took place closer to the beach side rather than to the road side. So, yeah, we're still not sure. It could have been a package or it could have been a suicide bomber.
Is there any significance to it taking closer to the beach than, let's say, the sort of main strip, the shopping area, in your mind?
No, I should explain. That's just because in Jimbaran, that's where the restaurants are, and there's a lot of diners out kind of sitting in these little kind of huts out on the beach. And then the other side, which is kind of about 2 kilometers away in Kuta, it was a very crowded restaurant area.
And for people who are just joining us, this attack that took place today is just blocks from an attack that took place in 2002, which left more than 200 dead, and that was eventually claimed by an al-Qaeda-linked group called Jemaah Islamiyah. Has any group claimed responsibility, Marianne?
No, they haven't, and they're probably not likely to. This group, or it's alleged that, Jemaah Islamiyah also conducted an attack almost a year ago on the Australian Embassy and another 2 years ago on the JW Marriott Hotel, and usually they don't own up to it. It's only when police catch suspects and then people start talking.
Marianne Kearney in Jakarta, thank you very much. Joining us now with more on this attack is Mark Ginsburg, former ambassador to Morocco and Fox News foreign affairs analyst. Mark, what's your take on this attack?
3 things that come to mind on this attack. First, Catherine, that it almost is the equivalent of a London subway strike. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number 2 of al-Qaeda, has threatened to attack coalition countries that continue to participate in the war in Iraq. Australia has 1,400 troops in Iraq, and Prime Minister Howard has insisted that he's going to keep those troops there. Bali is a center of Australian tourism, number 1. Number 2, the holy month of Ramadan is about to begin, and there is going to be a huge escalation in my mind, not only in Iraq but around the world, by Islamic terrorists who use Ramadan as a pretext for encouraging more jihadists to join the cause. Number three, with the elections in Iraq about to take place, as well as with the trial in Iraq, all of this, unfortunately, is linked more or less through franchise sales, as has been said repeatedly before, about how these terrorist groups operate, but they all still send political messages. These are not isolated events.
What stock do you put in the fact that this attack took place virtually in the same area as an attack in 2002?
Well, first of all, I think it's a terrible embarrassment to the Indonesian government. It shows that notwithstanding all of the efforts of the Indonesian government to impose greater security in Bali, the fact that they were able to commit these attacks shows that no matter how much security you throw in the situation, these tourist sites cannot be adequately protected, number one. Number two, I think it's indicative of the fact that there was a complacency that the Australians themselves began returning to Bali. And therefore, the terrorists began realizing once again that they could hit not only Indonesia, but in effect have a dual attack on Indonesia as well as on Australia. There is that much connection between Bali and Australia.
My sense, and I'm just kind of trying to read in between the lines, is we've had two tapes in September from Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number 2, September 2nd, and also September 20th. The latter was first claiming responsibility for the London bombings. And you remember in 2002 we had a series of tapes which also preceded that attack. Do you think that this is a signal that more attacks are in the pipeline in the coming months?
Yes, I'm absolutely convinced that there are more attacks. Regrettably, I wish I weren't. More attacks in the pipeline. I read the Islamic websites almost daily. And the amount of recruiting sites that have popped up recently to go and fight the Americans and the Australians and everyone in Iraq has escalated dramatically in the last few months, number one. And number two, there's no doubt that Ayman al-Zawahiri, by appearing repeatedly, Catherine, is trying to send a signal that the al-Qaeda organizational structure is still in place. Now, the counterintelligence operatives around the world keep insisting that Al-Qaeda is now an organization that's no longer intact. I don't buy that. I continue to believe that Al-Qaeda, if not in a direct command and control operation ordering these attacks are meant to show that these franchise organizations, more or less, are still allied and owing allegiance to Al-Qaeda's organizational structure.
Yeah, the leadership may be out of sight, but not out of mind with their
Right.
followers. Mark Ginsburg, Fox News foreign affairs analyst, thank you very much.
Good to be with you.
Coming up, hurricane season is months from being over, and another tropical tempest is already brewing in the Atlantic. Could it be headed our way? And we'll bring you the latest from the Fox Weather Center. Police are now questioning the boyfriend of an abandoned 4-year-old mother. Could he be the key to solving this case? That's next.
How does the Merck Patient Assistance Program help people?
Because of the program, I get the medication I need.
The program? My doctor told me about it.
You may be eligible for the Merck Patient Assistance Program if you don't have health insurance or a drug plan and are also unable to afford the Merck medicines your doctor prescribes. Your doctor can make the request.
Because of the program, I get my medications free.
For nearly 50 years, the Merck Patient Assistance Program has helped millions of people get the Merck medicines they need at absolutely no charge. If you're eligible, the Merck medicines you need can be delivered to your doctor or right to your home.
The program sends the medications straight to my house.
At Merck, we believe our medicines should be available to the people who need them. For more information, call 1-800-727-5400 or click on Merck.com. The Merck Patient Assistance Program. Merck, where patients come first.
Are you at risk for osteoporosis? Keep listening for a special free offer from Actonel. My mother always said, don't slump, or you'll get your grandmother's hump. That hump wasn't a slump. It was tiny fractures caused by osteoporosis. Prescription Actonel once a week helps prevent postmenopausal osteoporosis to help you fight fracture. Want to know if you're at risk? Visit actonelquiz.com and take the free risk assessment quiz. And you'll receive a personalized report in the mail to share with your doctor.
You should not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
Actonel can't unslump a hump, but it can help fight fractures. Visit actonelquiz.com or call 1-800-779-3359. Talk to your your doctor to find out if Actonel is right for you and help fight fracture with Actonel.
Exclusively from Sharper Image, the Ionic Breeze Silent Air Purifier with Ozone Guard. It not only captures pollen, dust, and dander, it can actually convert smog and ozone into oxygen with no fans, no filters, silently. The Ionic Breeze charges incoming air and contaminants attached to the collection grid. Then the air passes through the new Ozone Guard grill with Premier Catalyst coating that instantly converts a significant portion of smog and ozone into pure oxygen. America's most trusted brand of air purifier, the Ionic Breeze is the only air purifier that's earned seals from both the British Allergy Foundation and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America because it's been proven to reduce airborne allergens. Order now and get a free $69 bathroom Ionic Breeze to help keep your bathroom fresh and clean. A free 5-year warranty, and you'll even get free shipping.
Call 1-800-881-4133. That's 1-800-881-4133.
Here's some of the stories we're following for you. In Bali, several bombs in tourist areas kill at least 21 people. Over 50 are wounded, including 2 Americans. The Bali police confirmed the blasts and say they appear to be the work of terrorists. Hundreds of Southern California residents return home as firefighters contain about 40% of the blaze. Smoke still fills the valley, so officials are urging people to restrict their outdoor activities. And the Army Corps of Engineers says New Orleans is now about 95% dry. Officials continue to pump out the swamped 9th Ward. A well-coordinated plan, night water dropping missions, and a strong communication network helped firefighters in Southern California save 2,000 homes from the blaze. Inspector Ron Harrelson joins us on the phone with the latest from the Los Angeles County Fire Department. Let's start with how contained the fires are. Where do we stand?
Well, right now, as far as the Topanga fire, we're looking at approximately 40% on the containment. Acreage that have burned throughout this fire, looking at 23,970 acres have been burned for this fire.
Now, something that seems to be on everyone's mind right now, especially after the hurricanes, is this issue of the local response. It seems from watching what's happened with the fires that you had a very quick and sort of quite a massive mobilization locally. What role does that play?
Well, we're looking nationwide, of course, with the situation in the Gulf, Hurricane Katrina, the efforts there locally and at the federal and state level. But here on the West Coast, we're familiar with brush fires here. We know the importance of mutual aid and assistance from other agencies. So in this regard, here in Southern California, we know this is earthquake country and we are prone to have brush fires. So what we've seen here is just a mass mutual aid as far as an agreement and as far as other resources locally as well as throughout the state coming together. And at the height of this particular fire, we had approximately 300 personnel from all over the Southern California area.
Now, it's not just local authorities. One of the LA County supervisors told us earlier that it was actually the homeowners who'd played a big role because many of them had tried to sweep the brush out from around their homes, and this has been very effective in retarding the fire. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. We've seen not only this particular fire, but fires in the past. We have a brush clearance program, and we just ask that the residents who do live in those areas adhere to that and be aware that it's very important to clear away brush and debris from around your home, especially in the event of fires racing up a hillside coming towards some of those homes that we've seen so much dramatic footage on this particular fire.
We're seeing a lot of that footage right now, and it just seemed from looking at some research that one of the big lessons from the fires in 2003 in San Diego is the necessity to have these choppers come in and drop water. Why has that been such an important aspect of the firefighting here?
Well, those water-dropping helicopters that we do have in our fleet, they are a valuable tool. Those pilots have several, many hours of training. They've been on missions like this before. Very dangerous on those hillsides with the smoke and other obstacles in the way there. But we've seen time and time again that in rough terrain and areas that are not easily accessible, those copters are able to come in there and make a water drop and basically snuff the fire out and save those homes. We're looking at water dropping capabilities from 360 gallons a drop to up to 1,000 gallons we're able to drop with our Sikorsky Firehawks.
I'm not an expert on this, but I'm curious to know, how do you time that kind of drop? Are they coming in and having to learn to hit the drop button so many seconds out before they get to the target? How does that work?
Those are very alert pilots. They've been there before, and this is a coordination between the units on the ground as well as those pilots and our operations in the air. So what happens, you'll see they'll have units on the ground in a cul-de-sac protecting a home or a hillside. And fortunately, with the brush clearance, and if the residents have been compliant, that gives us that defensible space we talked about, and that gives us room to go in there and start pre-treating some of that brush, and gives us a chance, it gives us that buffer space we need to protect that house and protect ourselves as well. So with the copters coming in there, that's a coordinated attack. That's through our communications. They understand when they're needed, what's going on, and they have a watchful eye on the situations as the conditions change with the wind and the weather.
Inspector Ron Harrelson, L.A. County Fire Department, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
While outdoor activities are not on the list for much of the Golden State, the rest of the country is seeing some really nice fall weather. Let's check in with Buzz Lopez in the Fox Weather Center. Buzz.
Good afternoon, Catherine. Well, to start off in California, what we have is a big front of cooler air that is starting to move in from the northwest. And what that has done is it has allowed more of a southwest wind to kick in across Southern California. And as a result, we're starting to see some light showers, an indication that, yes, the moisture levels are starting to increase. You can see that as well on the satellite picture, these brighter white clouds coming into Southern California. But more importantly, Otis. Hurricane Otis is expected to make landfall along Baja California and move into the Gulf of California. Now, it looks like it's probably going to be a rainmaker more so for the deserts of the southwest. Nonetheless, we are talking about at least the possibility that some of this moisture may make its way into Southern California, again, helping those people fight those fires out west. And we're not done with the tropics in the Atlantic either. In fact, we have tropical depression number 20 developed early this morning. It looks very unorganized, but it is possible this could intensify into a tropical storm. It could be either Tammy or Stan, depending on which tropical depression forms, or rather develops more quickly. There's another one well out into the Atlantic, and you can see that it makes landfall south of Texas probably by Wednesday morning. We'll keep an eye on it, especially for our friends in southern Texas. Otherwise, as you pointed out, Catherine, pretty nice in the northeast as well as the upper Midwest. Rather warm in the northern plains, a little bit rainy in the northwest. Catherine?
Buzz, thanks for that. Coming up, Hurricane Katrina proved to be one of the largest natural disasters in U.S. history. But what kind of devastation will it do to your lifestyle? That's coming up.
People who get loans are treated fairly. That's why eLoan has no lender fees. Check out our current monthly refinancing options. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Jim's best friend died of a heart attack with no warning, and I worried it could happen to Jim. His doctor said you should always have genuine Bear at hand. Just one has enough aspirin to help save your life during a heart attack.
We both feel better when I have my Bear.
Batteries Plus is your one-stop source for anything that needs a battery. Cars and trucks, PDAs, cell phones, children's toys, and every other battery-powered gadget imaginable. No one knows more about making sure your camera and camcorder batteries are in picture-perfect condition. If it needs a battery, all you need is Batteries Plus, America's battery experts.
Thousands of batteries. Batteries Plus in Beaverton on Canyon Road next to Tom's Pancake House.
At DNC Dodge, it's the full line closeout. Why buy a DNC Dodge? Here are 5 reasons. 1, every Dodge is on sale. 2, the largest inventory of 05s in the Portland Metro. 3, employee pricing plus, and you get the rebates. 4, rebates and bonus cash as high as $4,500. 5, you get free lifetime tires. Take advantage of employee pricing plus and lifetime tires while it lasts. We are Town and Country Dodge in Wilsonville. Drive home happy.
Right now, Oregon kids are becoming better readers thanks to the efforts of the Portland New Car Dealers Association. Through their partnership with Operation Outreach, your local new car dealers help get books to kids who don't have books at home. Teachers are getting supplemental training materials, and Oregon kids are getting a chance to succeed and excel. Feels good to know our kids benefit from the generous support of the Metro Portland New Car Dealers, Operation Outreach, and Comcast Cable, making a difference for Oregon's kids.
It's time again for the Northwest Women's Show at the Oregon Convention Center, October 28th, 29th, and 30th, with over 250 exhibitors, live entertainment, seminars, free samples, and shopping. Guests include Jacob Young from All My Children and Gert Boyle from Columbia Sportswear. Pick up your $2 off admission coupon at Thriftway and visit our website for more details. The Northwest Women's Show, October 28th through the 30th, supported by these sponsors.
He's paid the $20 million fare, passed his cosmonaut exams, and he's ready for liftoff. U.S. businessman Gregory Olson became the world's third commercial space traveler late last night as he and two others aboard the Russian Soyuz rocket roared into space, headed to the International Space Station. Don't call him, quote, space tourist. He's a little sensitive. The scientist and entrepreneur says he'll be conducting his own experiments on remote sensing and infrared astronomy during the 11-day flight. Federal government yesterday released its first look at the economic impact of Hurricane Katrina, and it's not pretty. Consumer confidence fell in August to its lowest point since September 11th after the attacks. Analysts say the downturn is mostly due to the jump in oil and gas prices. Another bummer, property losses in the Gulf region are estimated to be in the neighborhood now of $170 billion. Consumers hit by high fuel prices at the gas pump will also be feeling it at the airport in the form of fewer flights and higher fares. Fox News business contributor Charles Payne is the founder and CEO of Wall Street Strategies, and he joins me now. Okay, we know the fuel prices are high. How does that impact people who are traveling right now?
Well, we've already had two airlines say that they're going to cancel flights. Delta is going to cancel a certain amount. They haven't even specified how many. And American's going to cancel. So far it's 12, but it could be more. And this could actually be a domino effect. What's interesting is both of these airlines are located in the South, where jet fuel happens to be higher. Normally it's actually cheaper in the South, but it wouldn't be surprising if almost all domestic carriers sort of take this this route, if you will.
So how does one airline cutting back on flights cause the other to cut back on flights as well? You said the domino effect.
Well, you know, there's a domino effect, but really the problem isn't the fact that everyone's got to sort of yield to the fact that jet fuel is where it is right now. Last year, the industry was sort of alarmed because jet fuel went from 58 cents in 2002 to over $1 last year. Now it's nearing $3 a gallon. This is really outrageous. Obviously, some of it's out of the control of airlines, but the fact of the matter is, too, we're looking at an industry that's been run horribly. We've got 3 airlines currently in bankruptcy, and, you know, these are the type of actions they take. One thing you can't accuse airlines of, and that's collusion. Last year, one of the airlines wanted to add a $6 surcharge to tickets. Its rivals wouldn't agree to do that. So, you know, we got an industry that's in a pickle right now and not sure how to get out of it. We already know we're not going to get any food when we fly planes now, so now we might not even get the routes we want.
So you talk about bad business management. Are you suggesting that a lot of these airlines are sort of in trouble because they really should have bought futures on these fuel prices so they could offset the unexpected as we've seen now?
Well, the key there is unexpected. I think a lot of it was expected. I think that, you know, if you're in the business of put it this way, 16% of airline costs comes from fuel. They had to know that gas is going to go up, jet fuel is going to go up. Maybe not as quickly as it did because of the hurricanes and refinery problems that we currently have, but certainly that should have been built into the business models. You're absolutely correct. They could have prepared for this a lot better. They haven't. And we see, I mean, you have an industry where some of your biggest names are all in bankruptcy, so it's a big problem.
Charles Payne, Wall Street Strategies. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Police have identified the mother of that abandoned 4-year-old girl in Queens, but they have yet to reunite the two. We'll tell you why as part of the case that gets more bizarre with each day. That's next.
Tired of trying to find the right screwdriver? Wish you could fit all these inside your tool belt.
Hi, Steve Barkey, Mr. Do-It-Yourself for Southern Tools. And if you're looking for one tool that'll replace over 50 tools, well, here it is. This is the Spin and Load Bit Shooter. Need a bigger screwdriver? Just spin and load. You get the right bit every time. This incredible breakthrough in tool technology will let you tackle all your do-it-yourself projects with 6 different bits right at your fingertips. No more multi-drivers that lose their bits, and no more searching for bits. Need more bits? Just change the speed loader and you can get 6 new bits. Whether you're using a Phillips bit, a slotted bit, square bit, X drive, even a torque bit. And you can change from one to another just that easy. The spin and load bit driver allows anyone to get the right screwdriver where you need it, when you need it, with Southern Tools lifetime guaranteed bits that will let you power through any job. You could easily spend $50 buying all the screwdrivers you would need to replace the bit shooter. But you can get your spin and load bit shooter today for only $19.95. And I'll include 2 speed loader cartridges with 12 bits. As a special bonus, everyone who orders will get this powerful cordless drill. With a keyless chuck and 6 variable torque settings, it's perfect for all your do-it-yourself projects. A $40 value, yours free. Just pay shipping. Call in the next 10 minutes and I'll double the number of speed loaders and bits. That's right, you get the bit shooter with 4 speed loaders, 24 bits, and the cordless drill, all for only $19.95. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-715-8203. That's 1-800-715-8203. So don't delay. Call right now at 1-800-715-8203.
Tonight at 6, will the former majority leader's scandal delay Bush's second-term agenda? Then at 6:30, exaggerated death tolls and inaccurate reporting. Did the media feed into the hurricane disaster frenzy? Tonight, it's Beltway Boys at 6 and Fox News Watch at 6:30. Tonight at 10, dead bodies lining the streets, tales of police fleeing an angry mob. What really happened after Katrina and Rita? Geraldo gets answers. Plus, Joran Vandersloot's explosive interview. Tonight, it's a powerful primetime lineup.
The mystery of how a 4-year-old girl from Queens, New York was found alone crying on a dark street in the middle of the night is quickly turning into a mystery focusing on her now missing mother. Rod Wheeler is a former D.C. homicide detective and joins us now about the case from Philadelphia, or Cleveland rather, from Cleveland today. Rod, I want to ask you, when you've got a 4-year-old child and they may not be the most articulate witness, how do you pursue a case like this?
Well, I can tell you specifically, Catherine, what the police are doing. They're trying to get a family history of not only the mother, but everyone and anyone who could have known the parents of the little girl and the father of the little girl and any other boyfriend. So the police are going to try to put together some type of a timeline and go back as far as they can to get as much information as they possibly can to try to reach some kind of conclusion as to what could have happened and why this little girl was in fact walking around the streets aimlessly in New York.
I mean, you can't help but look at these pictures of Valerie and wonder if this is an uncommon incident or it's more common than we'd like to think.
Well, I don't think it's that common that a little girl 4 years old would be walking around like that, especially in the wee hours of the morning. Usually the parents are nearby somewhere. The interesting thing about this case, Catherine, is the fact that the mother is missing, which of course after 48 to 72 hours, if she remains missing, the police may in fact call this a criminal investigation. I don't believe they've called it that yet, but I do believe that if she is continued to be missing, they will term it a criminal investigation.
We're seeing the mother on the screen right now in her description. How important will it be to understand her relationship with the boyfriend in this case?
That's an excellent question because, you know, we typically see that in these types of domestic cases. Usually a boyfriend is involved or an ex-husband is involved. So that's going to be very critical as to what exactly what consisted of that relationship, what was going wrong. And I can tell you that witness accounts from, for example, the co-workers of the mother are excellent sources of information. Neighbors of the mother are excellent sources of information. So the police will interview all of these people, Catherine, as well as the little girl, and try to find out exactly what was going on in that household that caused that little girl to be out that time of morning.
So they're almost trying to build a big puzzle which allows them to understand the dynamics and the relationships between these people and who may have had a motivation in this case. Is that correct?
Sure. That's exactly right, because obviously somebody had a motivation for leaving the little girl out that time of the morning. In addition to that, again, the question remains, where is the mother? And I think that's what the police are really trying to focus on right now, finding the mother. And I think the boyfriend, Catherine, in this case, may hold the key to that answer.
We always say that the first, 24, 48 hours, 72 hours are really important. We're really essentially past that window now. How optimistic are you?
Well, I'm pretty optimistic that the police will indeed find out exactly what happened. I'm not exactly sure, obviously, not knowing the history of the mother and her relationship with the boyfriend, but the police will continue to interview the boyfriend, and I can tell you his inconsistency of answers or responses to the police will elevate his level from being a person of interest to a suspect.
Maybe something more. Rod Wheeler, thanks a lot for that. And I'm sad to say that's all for this edition for Weekend Live, but stay tuned for all the latest news here on Fox News Channel with Paige Hopkins. Don't forget to watch Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. His special guest will be the embattled Congressman Tom DeLay. Check your local listings for time and channel. And right here on Weekend Live tomorrow, my colleague Brian Wilson will have more on the fallout over DeLay's indictment. That's noon Eastern. See you then. I'm Catherine Herridge in for Tony Snow. Thanks for watching. Stay with Fox. Real journalism, fair and balanced. We report, you know the rest.
Hello, I'm Paige Hopkins, and this is Fox News Live. First on Fox, at least 22 people are dead on the Indonesian island of Bali. Many more hurt, including 2 Americans. At least 2 bombs going off nearly simultaneously. The blast coming just one day after the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia warned of increased danger. One big wildfire in Southern California, now 40% contained, but another one raging right along a major freeway at this moment. An abandoned 4-year-old girl identified, but the mystery deepens. Now, little Valerie's mother is missing. And Anna Nicole Smith's case over her late husband's money, well, it's going all the way to the Supreme Court. That's a lot of steps to climb in stilettos. All that coming up, but straight to our top story, the deadly explosions on the resort island of Bali. Joining me on the phone is Global Radio News reporter Marianne Carney in Jakarta, Indonesia. Marianne.
Hi.
What can you tell us?
Yeah. As you said before, at the moment they're saying there's 23 people dead, with at least 50 people injured. But even half an hour ago, hospitals were still reporting that seriously injured people were still being brought into 2 main hospitals in Bali. So the number of injured could rise.
Marianne, are you hearing anything about how these bombs went off, what type of bombs they were? Are we talking about car bombs? What are you hearing?
We're not hearing anything about that yet, but it seems that the location in front of the 2 restaurants down in Kuta, which are one of the sites of the bombs, you weren't supposed to stop cars, so it appears it might not have been a car bomb. And the other site was also actually outdoor cafes on the beach, so that also seems that it was unlikely to be a car bomb there too. But it's still not clear if it was kind of a package left on the beach, somewhere disguised on the beach and in amongst the restaurants, or if it was a suicide bomber walking into either of these places.
Anybody claiming responsibility? Are you hearing any rumors? Who are police looking at right now? What group? Who?
Police are looking at, because it's the timing of the event, this is almost 3 years to the date, and it also occurred just down the road from where the Bali nightclub bombings happened in 2002. So everybody's kind of looking at Jemaah Islamiyah regional terror group. And also because foreign tourists were targeted, and it's also just a year ago today almost that the Australian Embassy was attacked as well.
Marianne, we're hearing that there were warnings yesterday, a day before these bombings, that there was an increased danger there. What can you tell us about those warnings?
Well, actually, both Western intelligence agencies and the Indonesian police have been saying that this is kind of, if you like, bombing season, because every year for the last 3 years there's been some kind of attack launched by what it's believed to be Jemaah Islamiyah. And so people were on high alert.
And Jemaah Islamiyah, for our viewers, that's a group that's sort of connected to Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, it's unclear. I mean, there's been allegations of connections. 1 or 2 people have had connections.
Okay, Marianne Carney reporting to us from Jakarta. Thank you so much. And back here on U.S. soil, firefighters now have the upper hand on that 24,000-acre inferno in Southern California. It's about 40% contained at this hour, but another fire in the hills above Burbank is causing great concern. Fox's Adam Housley is live on the phone from Burbank. Adam, tell us about this fire.
That's right, Paige. We actually moved from the Thousand Oaks fire over here to the Burbank fire, which has now been renamed the Harvard fire. They name the fires generally by a major landmark that they see when they go to respond to the first fire call. This one now called the Harvard fire in Burbank. It's burned 1,100 acres in the Verdugo Mountains. So far, they've gotten significant air support, and you'll actually hear the helicopters momentarily as they fly over me. In the meantime, they've ordered 75 homes evacuated. We've been told by firefighters that 70 have evacuated, but 5 homeowners refuse to leave, and so they've asked them for next of kin information, trying to convince them to leave their homes, and so far that has not worked. It's on Country Club Canyon Road, really, is where these homes have been evacuated. The fire's 15% contained. There are 600 firefighters here, and they're bringing more firefighters over from that big fire in Thousand Oaks we've been talking about the last couple of days. Some of the firefighters from that location are coming here to help with this one. They say that the nature of this fire is suspicious. There's a possibility it has been started, possibly, they want to underline that, by an arson, but at this point it's still too early to tell, but they say that's what their investigation is going towards now. As this fire continues to burn here, there are 2 other fires also in Southern California, one burning 70 miles east of Los Angeles in San Bernardino. It's 10% contained. And also the so-called Topanga fire, the one burning near Thousand Oaks. It's 40% contained. The good news is they hope to have it 100% contained by Monday night. And as I mentioned, they are moving firefighters over here. You can hear the helicopters going over me right now. It's one of those, what's called an air crane. It's one of those helicopters that has a big hose that reaches down below it and actually sucks the water up the helicopter and then flies over the fire and drops water on. In fact, there's a couple of flare-ups right now they're trying to knock down because there's a worry the wind might kick up here tonight and turn that fire around. Right now, once again, this fire burned 1,100 acres. The one over in Thousand Oaks, not far from here, has burned 24,000 acres. The Governor Schwarzenegger has been here. They're trying to get these flames down, Paige, as quick as possible because the worry is that on Wednesday or Thursday, the Santa Ana winds could come back and hot temperatures again, which are the conditions that help fuel these fires. Paige?
Adam, you said that there's thought that this may have suspicious origins on this Burbank fire. The Thousand Oaks fire, are police investigating that as possibly suspicious?
They always investigate all these fires as being the possibility. They say this one here, and they won't tell you the reason why because, of course, the investigation is going on. But this one here, a red light went on, so to speak, right away. That there was something there that kind of tipped them off that this was not started by natural means. I mean, these fires this time of year have naturally burned out in these areas for thousands of years. I mean, this is an area that is refurbished basically when the fires come through here. But a lot of people who are arsonists, and people that are not say a lot, people who have bad intentions, know that this time of year is when the winds kick up, the heat kicks up, and it's ripe for fire conditions. So you have the natural causes that happen very normally, and then you have the, of course, other problems like this one that could have been caused by an arson.
Okay, Adam Hauser reporting from Burbank. Thank you very much. Well, cooler temperatures helping firefighters in Southern California. Meantime, there's another hurricane brewing and headed toward the U.S. Let's check in now with Buzz Lopez. He's live at the Fox Weather Center. Buzz.
Good afternoon, Paige. Well, as you mentioned, yes, we are seeing some cooler air as well as more humid air, and you can see that on the radar here with just a little bit of an inflow of some spotty showers, not really enough to help fight fires, and most of those fires are just to the north and northwest of downtown Los Angeles. But more significantly, there's a cold front up to the north, and what that has done is helped to bring in more Pacific moist air across the state of California, and that, of course, is helping the situation across Los Angeles basin where they're fighting many of those fires. And as you pointed out, there is a hurricane. It's Hurricane Otis in the Pacific Ocean. It looks like it's going to come on shore, Baja California, probably over the next day or so, and some of this moisture may make its way into the deserts of the Southwest. Not necessarily a big help to California, but if we can get maybe some of that wraparound moisture to swing back just far enough, we might start to moisten up the air more so, and that, of course, will help to fight those fires across Southern California. But as was pointed out, it looks like we're probably going to see a return to more warmth and dryness as we head into the middle part of the week. And we're also talking about Tropical Depression 20. This looks to move across the Yucatan with some showers and thunderstorms. We're already getting some reports of some pretty good rain around the Cayman Islands and up towards western Cuba and the Yucatan. This is probably going to trek across the southern portions of the Gulf of Mexico through Tuesday or Wednesday. By Wednesday morning, it probably will make landfall in far northeastern Mexico. So we're not expecting a U.S. landfall, but we'll watch it, especially for our interests in the southern portions of Texas. Paige?
Okay, Buzz Lopez, thank you. Evacuees from Hurricane Rita are also starting to return home. Folks in Beaumont, Texas are getting a first look at the damage caused by last week's storm. Some of them are returning to homes with trees right in the middle of them, and power's still out there. So many people are just cleaning up debris, grabbing a few things, and then leaving again. And some people returning to parts of Louisiana are not finding much left after Hurricane Rita roared through that state. People living in Cameron Parish are assessing the damage after a 20-foot storm surge swept over the town. They're sifting through piles of rubble where homes and buildings once stood. Many say they plan to stick around to see the parish rebuilt. Saddam Hussein will stand trial less than 3 weeks from now. The former Iraqi dictator could be tried for more than 300 crimes, but for starters, members of a special tribunal are focusing on about a dozen of those crimes. One is a chemical weapons attack on Iraqi Kurds in 1988, in which more than 5,000 people were killed. Fox News contributor Dan Senor caught up with the survivor of that attack for a special set to air tonight. Take a look at this sneak preview.
Ross took us to where he ran for cover when the bombing started, in a neighbor's basement. That day, nearly 100 people were crammed into this small space.
3 sounds mixed in here. Sound of babies crying, sound of injured people, and the sounds of explosions.
Only Ross and 7 others emerged from the basement alive. He staggered out after 3 days underground, just in time to see his family's bodies being lifted out of a neighboring basement.
This one-hour documentary also includes exclusive interviews with judges, prosecutors, and more witnesses. Saddam on Trial will air tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern and again at midnight right here on the Fox News Channel, so tune in for that. Operation Iron Fist kicks off in Iraq. More than 1,000 U.S. Marines, soldiers, and sailors teaming up to track down al-Qaeda terrorists hiding near Iraq's Syrian border. Fox's Steve Harrigan is live in Baghdad with more. Steve.
Paige, this is the third major U.S. offensive in the past 4 months targeted in Iraq's western border right near Syria. It's called Operation Iron Fist. More than 1,000 U.S. military personnel involved on the ground and in the air. The goal to break up al-Qaeda terrorist holds on small towns along that border with Syria, and also to prevent foreign terrorists from crossing the border with Syria. No reports on casualties yet. In the meantime, in the city in Ramadi, this video just in a short time ago, it shows the scene of where a roadside explosive device blew up a U.S. military Humvee, killing 5 U.S. military personnel in Ramadi, a city to the west of Baghdad. It was widely predicted that these 2 weeks in the run-up to Iraq's referendum would be a bloody 2 weeks by the terrorists. That is proving to be the case. At least 200 people killed in the past 2 weeks, among them 15 U.S. personnel in the military. And finally, the city's Abu Ghraib prison here in Baghdad released another 500 nonviolent prisoners today, another 500 earlier in the week, for a total of about 1,000. It's a goodwill gesture on the part of U.S. authorities towards Iraq during the start of the holy month of Ramadan, beginning to start later this week. Back to you in New York.
Steve Harrigan, thank you. And a new twist in the mystery of a 4-year-old girl found barefoot and alone on a New York City street in the middle of the night. Nearly a week after little Valerie Lozada was discovered by herself, alone in Queens, her mother has been identified, but she is missing. Investigators are questioning the missing woman's boyfriend. In the meantime, Valerie tells a reporter she has more than one daddy.
I got 2 daddies.
What are your daddy's names?
Felipe.
And your other daddy's name is?
Peter.
The child says one of those so-called daddies woke her up late one night, drove her somewhere, and dropped her off alone. Police have released a picture of the girl's mother. They're asking for the public's help in locating her. Monica Lozada is 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs 105 pounds, and has long hair, which she dyed blonde. A private investigator weighs in on this case in the next hour. Flames ripping through Southern California. While firefighters appear to be getting a better handle on the situation, hundreds of folks have been forced to seek shelter.
If you're worried about gas prices going crazy, here's some important news. There's now one place where gas prices have hit an all-time low. Your Mitsubishi dealer. Introducing Gas Comes Standard. Right now, when you purchase or lease any new 2005 Mitsubishi, you get a year's worth of gas on us. So head over to your nearest Mitsubishi dealer and get even more thrills per gallon. Mitsubishi. Driven to thrill.
The sharks are still circling, trying to shred the president's free market agenda by attacking its leader in Congress, Tom DeLay. It's politics as usual, so much so that Ronnie Earl, the partisan prosecutor investigating DeLay's political activities, gave a speech attacking him to liberal activists, raising money to support high-tax, big government candidates. Know the facts. Know the truth. Say no to liberal big government. Stand behind the Bush free market agenda and its leader in Congress, Tom DeLay.
Good news, men. Now we can sell our chimney caps directly to America. And we can get everything we need to make them from China. How are we going to do all that, then? FedEx will help us with all the shipping, even the complicated customs forms. What's wrong?
We don't have to give up our chimney sweep jobs, though, right?
Of course not. That would be silly.
FedEx, helping take your small business to the world.
I love baseball so much. If I could play instead of sleep, I would. But my mom always thinks about my asthma. She worries when I wake up and start coughing at night.
Do more to help control your child's asthma. Ask your child's doctor about Singulair. Singulair helps prevent asthma symptoms before they start and helps provide effective 24-hour control in a once-a-day chewable tablet. Singulair is not a steroid and is available for children as young as 12 months. Singulair is also approved to help relieve seasonal allergy symptoms. Singulair will not replace fast-acting medicines for sudden symptoms. Your child should continue taking their other asthma medicines as prescribed. If asthma symptoms get worse, contact your child's doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Join the millions of people with asthma who have discovered Singulair.
I just want to play. Play.
Ask your child's doctor about Singulair today.
Firefighters have thankfully been making major progress on that 24,000-acre wildfire burning in Southern California. Some evacuees in the Los Angeles area are beginning to return to their homes, but hundreds still in Red Cross shelters. Let's talk to Carrie Van Osdal, a spokesman for the Red Cross. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I just want to start off by asking you, Carrie, do you think people in California are better prepared when a wildfire hits than, we've seen these people just get walloped by these hurricanes down south, but Californians are sort of used to this, aren't they?
I think to a lot of extent they are used to it. A lot of work and consideration went into the evacuations that took place in Southern California, particularly in the Chatsworth Topanga fire. There were selected evacuations that were timed and staggered so we wouldn't have the gridlock that you saw with the hurricane-related evacuations. Of course, the scales are a lot different. And we're only talking about up to 30,000 people that were at risk for evacuation as opposed to 2 million in the Gulf states.
Carrie, as a Red Cross worker, what is the biggest concern as a wildfire is spreading? Is your first concern evacuating people in a sort of a staggered fashion, or is it evaluating how many people are still out there? What's your biggest concern?
The biggest concern is just getting people out of the way and understanding how fast that fire is moving and what point will it reach. And there's a lot of coordination. From the Red Cross's perspective, we have to have evacuation centers close enough that they can get to, but not too close that they're going to be smoked out or be in the way of the fire's path. So it's somewhat of a tricky game of coordinating that, but at this time we're working very closely with the fire and police officials, and this has been a real model operation in Southern California.
What's the biggest mistake people make when one of these horrible fires is starting to spread? Besides the obvious, staying in their house, but what's another mistake?
I think driving erratic, blowing through signals, and just acting, driving unsafely. I think that's probably the biggest risk. However, since we had some good reconnaissance and we warned people well enough in advance, most folks had a fair amount of time to get out and to get their mind collected and to get to an evacuation center. So it was pretty well organized.
Carrie, what do you tell people? What's your best piece of advice as these wildfires are spreading?
Well, I think it's reassuring that loved ones are trying to reach them, have a contact point, get the word out where you're now relocated. Certainly if you have medications, if you're a diabetic or have heart conditions, grab those with you on the way out, along with some of those pictures and valuables that you can't replace. That would be really helpful.
Okay, Carrie Van Osdal, Red Cross spokesman, thanks for taking time out of a busy day to talk to us. And we have much more to come on the fires in California, but our other top story of the day, those new blasts in Bali targeting Western tourists. Once again, at least 2 Americans may be among the victims. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, the unhappy homecoming for thousands of New Orleans evacuees. We're going to tell you what they're finding as they file back into town 1 month after Hurricane Katrina. And the search for a suspected triple murderer. Does the FBI have any clues as to where Melvin Keeling might be? Look at this man. We're going to talk to an FBI agent and the aunt of a 13-year-old girl the man is suspected of killing.
It's not wood and concrete that build a country. It's dreams and hard work. It's neighbors who give their word along with their hand.
When people around here dream of buying a home,
or refinancing, they call me. I'm an AmeriQuest mortgage specialist.
And I'm here to help you with your dream.
I'll get you the home loan that helps pay off high-interest credit cards and lowers your monthly payments. I'll even do the paperwork.
Call 1-800-AmeriQuest or visit AmeriQuest.com. AmeriQuest Mortgage, proud sponsor of the American Dream.
We use a lot of paper around here.
We print it,
Then copy it.
we file it,
And transfer it. We lose it.
found it, we process it, and turn it into more paper.
And we wonder why our information flow doesn't actually flow.
One company can uncomplicate your paper flow. Lexmark. We've designed smarter ways for the world's biggest businesses to print, move, and manage information. Go to Lexmark.com and see how we can help yours uncomplicate.
Thank you so much for coming to our tournament. The rules in Farlandestein Albanistein are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element.
15 love.
Especially when it comes to insurance and investing.
Is that ball on fire?
30 love.
Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones. Whether it's planning for retirement, buying a home, or protecting your family's future.
Line change. Section 4, paragraph 8. Serve Agassi Graph.
So you'll be ready for whatever comes your way.
Now that's a game.
Worms and germs can attack your computer.
Something's wrong with your computer, and you've tried everything.
Try this.
One quick click. Velos will keep your entire system virus-free, safe, and secure.
With Velos to make it faster than the day you got it.
Visit Velos.com.
And make it quick.
If you even think you're slowing down, get a free virus scan at Velos.com and make it fast.
This is a phone jack. It's a fact that all phone jacks are alike. When you plug your computer into it, it takes you to the same place, the internet. Same phone jack, same internet. So why do some companies jack up the cost of internet access to twice the price of Net Zero? With Net Zero, you get the same internet for only $9.95. So don't let anyone jack with your price. Net Zero, internet access, only $9.95. Go to netzero.com.
New blasts ripped through the Indonesian tourist island of Bali nearly 3 years to the day when attacks there killed more than 200 people, mostly Westerners. At least 22 people are dead in today's strike, and 2 Americans are reportedly among the dozens of wounded. Police say the bombings were clearly the work of terrorists. In the meantime, in his weekly radio address, President Bush is talking about the war on terror in Iraq and our strategy overseas.
Our strategy in Iraq is clear. We're hunting down deadly terrorist leaders. We're conducting aggressive counterterrorism operations in the areas where the terrorists are concentrated. We are constantly adapting our tactics to the changing tactics of the terrorists. And we're training more Iraqi forces to assume increasing responsibility for their country's security.
Well, joining us now, Ryan Lizza, senior editor of The New Republic, and Fox News contributor Rich Lowry, editor of The National Review. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Ryan, let's start with you. The president's been dealing with hurricanes and their aftermath, but today we just heard him. He's talking about the war on terror. So is this sort of a sea change? He's changing America's agenda from national disasters back to terrorism?
Well, look, I don't think the terrorism is ever going to be completely removed from the agenda of this president or likely any future presidents. The Iraq elections are coming up. The constitutional process is sort of playing out in Iraq. That's going to be back on everyone's radar screen very soon. And, you know, he's going to have to deal with both domestic crises and domestic issues and the war in Iraq and terrorism in general for the rest of his presidency. So I wouldn't necessarily see it as a major political switch.
I want to let our viewers know that right now we're looking at brand new video just into Fox. We are seeing this at the same time as you are. It's unedited video from the bombings in Bali. So just to let you know, it is unedited. We're looking at it as you look at it. Rich, these bombings in Bali, what kind of steps are we likely to see the Bush administration take in terms of tone and that sort of thing?
Well, I don't think we'll see much that's different. You know, this is horrific news, but unfortunately it's the kind of news people have gotten used to and just have to be used to in the new environment we live in. We're fighting really a global insurgency against Islamists all around the world, and they will kill whenever they have the opportunity. And the grand Bush strategy is to ultimately create a better model of governance in the Islamic world and in the Middle East, and hope that creates a more attractive kind of Islam than we see these terrorists attracted to.
Ryan, do you think their attention to the hurricanes will strip at the resolve of the American people to fight the war on terror, though?
You know, it's a complicated question. I mean, it depends on how much the American people see the war in Iraq as part of the war on terror, because I think that's the one area where Bush's response to the hurricanes and the political strife that he's seen in the last few weeks, I think it could hurt support for the war in Iraq. And it depends on how much people see that as part of the larger war on terror. There's a debate in this country about that, and not everyone agrees that it's part of the war on terror. So I think there's a chance that it could sap strength for his Iraq policy, yeah.
I think, Paige, the most important factor influencing how people view the war in Iraq is just conditions in Iraq, and people over the last year or so, after that marvelous January 30th election, haven't really liked what they've seen there. It's been a pretty distressing picture, and I think it's important for Bush constantly to make the case for why the war is important, to make the case for his strategy, but ultimately the political standing of the war depends on conditions there on the ground and whether the administration can turn them around or not.
And do you think they are?
You know, I think it's a very mixed picture. If you look at the political side of the equation, which is very important, you know, we've made lots of progress in the last 3 years or so. If you look at the security side, still a lot of work to do there and a very distressing picture. So it's very much a mixed picture, and what happens the next couple of months with these key elections, with the referenda over the new Constitution, and then hopefully an election to elect a permanent government, those are extremely important events, and we'll know, I think, a lot more in the next 2 or 3 months.
Okay, Rich Lowry and Ryan Lizza, thanks for joining us. We want to let our viewers know we're looking at fresh, unedited video in from Bali on those bombings. As you can see, it is unedited. You're seeing it for the first time, as we are. So stick here as we continue to follow this developing story. And another wildfire flares up. Firefighters get a handle on a massive fire in Southern California. Well, now a growing fire near Burbank is causing concern and possibly suspicion. We have a live report. A controversial group back on the job. They're patrolling U.S. borders. Do you know who we're talking about? The Minutemen Project is expanding, and we'll tell you where.
Are you at risk for osteoporosis? Keep listening for a special free offer from Actonel. My mother always said, don't slump, or you'll get your grandmother's hump. That hump wasn't a slump. It was tiny fractures caused by osteoporosis. Prescription Actonel once a week helps prevent postmenopausal osteoporosis to help you fight fracture. Want to know if you're at risk? Visit actonelquiz.com and take the free risk assessment quiz. And you'll receive a personalized report in the mail to share with your doctor.
You should not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
Actonel can't unslump a hump, but it can help fight fractures. Visit ActonelQuiz.com or call 1-800-779-3359. Talk to your doctor to find out if Actonel is right for you and help fight fracture with Actonel.
Exclusively from Sharper Image, the Ionic Breeze Silent Air Purifier with Ozone Guard. It not only captures pollen, dust, and dander, it can actually convert smog and ozone into oxygen with no fans, no filters, silently. The Ionic Breeze charges incoming air and contaminants attached to the collection grid. Then the air passes through the new Ozone Guard grill with Premier Catalyst coating that instantly converts a significant portion of smog and ozone into pure oxygen. America's most trusted brand of air purifier, the Ionic Breeze is the only air purifier that's earned seals from both the British Allergy Foundation and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, because it's been proven to reduce airborne allergens. Order now and get a free $69 bathroom Ionic Breeze to help keep your bathroom fresh and clean. A free 5-year warranty, and you'll even get free shipping.
Call 1-800-881-4133. That's 1-800-881-4133.
Big people, little people, older people, younger people. All kinds of people need medicines but don't have prescription coverage. It's personal to them, so it's personal to us. That's why we offer help at Pfizer Helpful Answers, with all kinds of programs to help all kinds of people get the Pfizer medicines they need. No matter what your age or income, if you don't have prescription coverage, you can save on Pfizer medicines. You may even get them for free, depending on your income. So call us at 1-866-706-2400 to get personal help. One call for your Pfizer medicine and for your family's medicine. Call Pfizer Helpful Answers at 1-866-706-2400 or visit PfizerHelpfulAnswers.com. Because if you don't have prescription coverage, now one call fits all. Pfizer participates in the Partnership for Prescription Assistance, a way to get help paying for your other medicines.
This is a Fox News alert. You are looking at new, fresh video just into Fox from Bali as we continue to follow that deadly terror attack in Bali in Indonesia, where nearly 24 people were killed in simultaneous explosions, dozens of others wounded. The blast coming after Indonesia's president said that he was warned about possible terror attacks. Fox News correspondent Molly Henneberg has more now from Washington as we continue looking at this fresh video. Molly.
Hi, Paige. The State Department has been pretty clear about the danger to Americans in Indonesia. There was a travel warning put out in May cautioning about travel in, around, and to that area. And just yesterday, the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia put out a warden's message reminding Americans there to be aware of, quote, the continued potential for a terrorist attack. The embassy had been concerned that planned demonstrations in Jakarta could turn violent. And the message yesterday said attacks could occur at any time, at any location. The Bush administration has been and will continue next week to talk about the war on terror, how it continues in Iraq and elsewhere. President Bush is set to give a war on terror speech next Thursday. Today in his weekly radio address, he spoke about the war in Iraq and said, quote, more difficult and dangerous work still lies ahead.
The terrorists have a history of escalating their attacks before Iraq's major political milestones, and 2 elections are fast approaching. In 2 weeks, Iraqis will vote on a democratic constitution. And if that constitution is approved, they will return to the polls later this year to elect a fully constitutional government. As Iraqis take these next steps on the path to freedom and democracy, the terrorists will do everything they can to stop this progress and try to break our will. They will fail.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice also has been speaking on the war on terror at Princeton University yesterday. She was speaking on Iraq and said, quote, now is not the time to falter or fade.
The choice we face in Iraq is thus stark. If we quit now, we will abandon Iraq's Democrats at their time of greatest need. We will embolden every enemy of liberty and democracy across the Middle East. We will destroy any chance that the people of this region have of building a future of hope and opportunity, and we will make America more vulnerable.
Back to the Bali bombings, the State Department cannot confirm yet reports that Americans may have been injured or killed, but is looking into those reports. Live in Washington, I'm Molly Henneberg. Paige, back to you.
Molly, thank you so much. And of course, we continue to monitor this breaking story out of Bali. We're looking at fresh video. Want you to know this is unedited video. We're looking at it for the first time as you at home are seeing it. We're going to continue to follow this. Our other top story, firefighters gaining ground on that 24,000-acre wildfire in Southern California, but they now have new flames to worry about. Fox's Adam Housley is live on the phone in Burbank. Adam.
That's right, Paige. We're just across the valley, really, from where that fire is taking place in Thousand Oaks. We're above Burbank. If anybody knows this area, we're actually at the Castaways Restaurant, which overlooks Burbank up in the foothills here above the San Fernando Valley. The good news, temperatures have dropped a bit, the winds have died down considerably, and the humidity has come up. Those are all positive it's all positive for firefighters who continue to battle the fire. Now, this one here above Burbank has burned about 1,100 acres. It's in the Verdugo Mountains, and they've so far evacuated or called for the evacuation of 75 homes here. But they say that of those 75 homes, 70 have evacuated, but 5 homeowners are staying put. They've asked those homeowners for their next of kin information, trying to convince them to leave. We have seen significant air support. There are at least 5 or 6 helicopters that fly over our spot directly here on Country Club Canyon Road. The fire is 15% contained. There are at least 600 firefighters here, and they're bringing more firefighters in from that Thousand Oaks fire across the valley, the Topanga fire it's called. This one here also, the cause of this fire is suspicious, which means they are looking at the possibility this is an arson fire. Now, there are 2 other fires burning. There's one 70 miles east of Los Angeles out in San Bernardino, and the so-called Topanga fire burning near Thousand Oaks. It's 40% contained. Firefighters hope to have that 100% contained by Monday night. It's burned 24,000 acres, and there are nearly 3,000 firefighters still on the lines there. They're still trying to make sure that fire, for some reason, doesn't flare up and jump over the 101 freeway, where it could basically march untouched all the way to the coast. Paige?
Okay, Adam Housley, thank you so much. Sorry about that, folks. We've got a lot of breaking news here. What you're looking at right now is unedited video freshly into Fox from Bali. Of course, we're continuing to monitor the situation of the 2 bombs that went off simultaneously. This obviously an emergency room at a hospital. We are trying to get as much information as we can. We know that 22 people so far have been reportedly killed in those 2 bombings. Of course, that number could change, and we're going to let you know as soon as it does. Again, we're monitoring the story in Bali as well as the fires in California. And of course, the other big story that we've all been following, residents and business owners coming back to a New Orleans filled with the stench of garbage, undrinkable tap water, and a broken sewage system. And some are so upset with the whole situation that they say they're packing up and heading out for good. Fox News correspondent Jamie Colby is live in New Orleans with more. Jamie.
Yeah, Paige, I just ran to this location because I wanted to just give you a sense. We're here at Canal and Exchange. This was a virtual ghost town until just a couple of days ago, and even though it wasn't one of the hardest hit areas, you talk about trash, Paige, take a look. This is just from one store, and they've just gotten started. They have a lot of work ahead, and they're very anxious to reopen. Now all the residents and the business owners have been told to come back. And the problem is getting the contractors and the construction workers to come here to do the work. The employers of those contractors and construction workers, Paige, are having to go the extra mile. They're bringing in food and water for all their employees. They're also having to bus them to locations where they can actually spend the night. And, you know, that's getting things going here. Those camps, though, of course, have to be located outside city limits.